Okay, let me change Twitch categories really quick. Okay. One second. I'm thinking of switching mics because I just feel like it.
Okay, there we go. Let me turn it up a little. Okay. Okay, let's get into it. The clinic that Nanjo had opened and later passed on to his son still existed in Nijima. This aged doctor was Nanjo's son, but the atmosphere about him was very different. So we get to finally learn something about him. Nanjo's son said that very indifferently.
非常に不謹慎に取り上げ、後宮氏の主治医であり友人でもあった父にも大変心外な関心が多数寄せられました。そのいずれもが何の根拠もなく、また父のそれまでの業績を汚すものでした。私はそれら全てについて未だに強く憤慨しています。
無理もないことと思います。私も同じようなものですので、私など6つの時から延々です。
そうでしたね。これは失礼。
The doctor finally remembered that Angie was also a victim who had been exposed to the same curious eyes he had been.
そんなあなたなら当時の件にもう関わりたくないという私、あれは不幸な事故でした。それを事件だと騒ぎ立てたがるのは無責任なテレビと雑誌だけです。彼らの態度には心底うんざりさせられますよ。
Nanjo had been bathed with attention for being one of Ushiromiya's few friends. Because of that, there was probably an aggressive and persistent rush among the witch hunters and the press to use Nanjo's son as a well-surviving relative as a source of information. The doctor went on and on, criticizing the press indignantly.
お気持ちよくわかります。私生活に至るまで監視を受け、
I like Angie, but her parts can be a little slow sometimes.
そのやり場のないお怒り、よくお察しできます。だからこそ、私の人生をここまで台無しにしたあの事件は一体何だったのか。それでここへ来ました。私もあなたと同じ当事者です。雑誌記者でもインタビュアーでもありません。 そこを誤解しないでください。私は道楽でこんなところまで来たんじゃない。私を見下すのもいい加減にしてください。あの事件で狂わされた人生の傷跡比べをするならば、私と
Angie spoke sharply. The doctor, who had imagined that he would be talked back to in such a forceful manner, couldn't help but fall silent. From Angie's perspective, the doctor really was whining over nothing. She really didn't want to be looked down upon. It was about time to let him understand how many days had passed for her before arriving on this island. The doctor realized he'd said something wrong and remained silent for a while, looking uncomfortable.
当時のことを思い出すのは苦痛でしょうが、ご存知のことがあったら何でも教えてください。もちろん口外はしません。私は私の人生に決着をつけるために 私は18です。あの事件は私の人生の12年を奪った。そしてこれからも奪い続けるでしょう。私は6歳のあの日からずっと暗闇に放り込まれたままなんです。
Oh yeah, send the Nanjo meme in the Discord server for real. Let me look. Oh my god, stop! How did you even find that? That is insane. Oh my god.
たちの悪い連中ばかりが来ていたので、私もつい身構えてしまったようです。
We weren't the only ones who thought of that.
他言無用を誓っていただけるなら何でもお話しします。
Oh shit, he's telling us
あり
stuff.
がとう先生。 ではお願いします。何でも結構です。話してください。
知っての通り、父は後ろ宮市の主治医であると同時にチェスを通じた友人同士でもありました。その親交は後ろ宮市が六軒島に移り住んできた当時からのとても長いものでした。
どのくらい仲が良かったのですか？
相当だったようです。チェスの縁で先方の屋敷に厄介になることも少なくなかったようです。私の口から言うのもなんだが、後ろ宮氏は非常に気難しい方でした。そして父はそんな人間と付き合うのに長けた非常におおらかな人だった。孤独な後ろ宮氏にとって稀な友人であったことは想像に難しくないでしょう。
当日は親族会議でした。後宮家の親族会議は資産やその運用などについて厳しく問われるさながら経営会議のようなものだったとされています。そのような席にまで出席を求められるほどに南條先生は信頼を得ていたわけですね。
父は純朴な医師であり、後宮家のような富豪の財産運用について助言できるような立場にあったとは思いません。おそらく当時の後宮氏は健康状態が優れられなかったでしょうから、親友の父ならおそらく口も固く親族会議上の秘密もきっと漏らさないと信頼されていたに違いない。
当時の後宮金蔵はかなり健康状態が悪かったのでしょうか？カルテが残っていたりはしますか？
事故の当日はカルテを持参していたのでしょう。後宮氏のカルテは残念ながらフォルダごと失われています。父のクラン家ですし、私も詳しいことは分かりません。
事件の前後、何か気になるようなことはありました？
あるにはあります。ですが非常に誤解を招きそうなのであまり言いたくはあり。
何ですか？それを教えてください。
For a while, the doctor beat around the bush, but after saying that much, he wouldn't be able to fool Angie by dodging the subject. He eventually gave in after making Angie swear herself to secrecy again, told her.
実はあの事故の数日後に私の自宅に郵便が届いたのです。
郵便？
それはとても奇妙な郵便でした。何者かが私の名を語って出したということです。宛先は北海道の礼文島。北方領土の話を抜きにすれば日本の最北端の島です。その宛先人がなんと礼文父の名前だったのです。しかし送付先住所が間違っているらしく、住所差出人である私のところへ戻ってきたわけです。
It was truly a strange tale. Nanjo's son's name was written as the sender. However, he said that he hadn't mailed the letter. In short, that means someone had faked his name and sent it. The destination was Nanjo Teramusa on Hokkaido's Ribun Island. But the lot number written on it didn't exist, so the local post office had been unable to deliver it and instead sent it back to the sender, Nanjo's son.
中身は
本当に他言無用でお願いします。私もかといって捨てるわけにもいかず。
The doctor stood up and faced a bookshelf. There was a packed group of dictionaries that could only have been ornamental, meant to make it very clear that the owner was an intellectual. When he pulled out several volumes from there, a large brown envelope peeked out from behind them. He then took that out and tossed it onto the desk. It had been there carefully sealed with cellophane tape, and its faded color and dryness made it clear that it had been sealed 12 years ago.
くれぐれも他言無用でお願いします。
Being so persistent that it was annoying, the doctor removed the seal with a paper knife. Then when he tilted the envelope, an already opened mail envelope slid out. The envelope still had weight to it, hinting there was something other than a letter inside. The recipient was certainly Nanjo. Just seeing that was a huge shock. Following that incident, Nanjo's corpse had not been found, and he had eventually been treated as dead after going missing. Okay. Well, he went to the Golden Land. That's where he went. And despite that, this letter addressed to Nanjo in Hokkaido existed. One could almost take that as a sign that he had faked his own death and escaped to Hokkaido.
南條先生は本当に北海道に存在、あるいは同姓同名の人物が北海道に。
父が何かの事情で事故を逃れ、私たち家族にとっては事情に関わらず嬉しいことです。私も初めはその可能性を考えました。
This episode really has some dragged out scenes, sadly, but the ending makes up for it.
しか
Yeah.
し、この封筒の送付先住所は存在しない。
We're trekking through it as best we
つまり
can.
この封筒は届くはずのない郵便なのです。
送付者が正しい住所を書き損じた可能性は？
もちろん否定はできません。ですが、住所の番地を見る限り、どうもそうは思えないのです。
北海道礼文島礼文郡礼文町 1-2-34-567
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Up until Reven City, it's fine, but I just couldn't wipe away the feeling that the sequential number after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 was a little insincere. Felt like a fake number that some kid had made up.
おそらく明らかに存在しない住所。この封筒は初めから存在せず届くはずのない住所に送付されたと考えるのが自然だと思います。
If the destination address doesn't exist, mail is generally returned to the sender, but in the case of an incomplete address, the local post office will often courteously and to the best of its ability research to find whether the sender's intended destination exists. Sorry. When they still can't find it, the mail is sometimes returned after an investigation of several days. It seemed that the same thing had happened with this envelope, and the stamp was postmarked on October 3rd. It was postmarked on Nijima. Nijima was a long way from Reboon Island. On top of that, the destination was also nonsensical. It had taken more than a week for the mail to be returned. In other words, there was probably a high chance that having the envelope returned to the sender after an unfixed amount of time had been the goal from the very beginning. Why do something like that? Even before asking that had been sent, this envelope was already wrapped in mystery.
中身は？
どうぞ。
After getting the doctor's permission, I tilted the already opened envelope. From the inside came a small folded letter and a small key with a number plate attached. Then a magnetic card slid out. A122 was engraved on the key's number plate. I didn't know what it meant. The magnetic card was pitch black and had gold characters engraved in it. Members was written in English. The jet black gold lettered card design made it feel like something very high class, but of course I didn't have a clue what kind of card it was just from that. I unfolded the letter. Its contents were extremely brief. Only the following was written. Oh, these numbers. Oh shit, I forgot about these numbers. It looks like a... Didn't I say this might have been Beatrice's birth? 7/15/129. Maybe her death date. Also written was the name of a certain massive bank known through Japan, as well as the word Central Branch. Or is that an account number?
これは？
貸金庫のカードと鍵、そして暗証番号でした。
Oh, you wasn't here. Oh, you weren't here. Well, that's what I thought. I thought it might have been Beatrice's birth date. Because she's like thousands of years old.
それも普通の貸金庫ではない。特別な顧客のみに許されているらしい不気味な貸金庫でした。
Thank you. After he finished putting his affairs in order following his father's funeral, he had visited the bank, pin and the key in the card. There was no doubt that something of great importance was kept there, and he had been naturally curious about what it might be. At first he hadn't known what to do. The card wasn't something he'd owned in the first place. Sorry. When he mustered up his courage and showed the card to the bank clerk, he was then switched to a clerk of clearly high status and was guided to a large vault on the fourth basement. The security on the way there was strict. The doctor had himself stored valuable items such as real estate transcripts and safe deposit boxes before, but this was something on a whole different level.
私の使っている貸金庫の手続きと違う。カードと暗証番号、そして鍵を持っているならば本人確認は行われないというシステムでした。ですがとにかく厳重な金庫室でこんなところに預けざるを得ないどんな物騒なものが待ち受けているのかと。
それで
カードをリーダーに通すと暗証番号の入力をそしてそこにある8桁の数字を入力するとすごい光景でしたよ。まるで SF 映画のような世界だった。薄暗い銀色の広大な部屋にびっしりと金庫の扉が埋め尽くされているのです。
He'd entered the room along with the clerk. It seems that as soon as the card was read, the vaults he had a right to were determined, so the safes that he could open were lit with a green light, while those he couldn't were lit with a red one.
A11 にはそれらの金庫のうちの一つを示すも、ちなみにそれ以外の金庫にもずらりと緑ランプが点灯しています。20個以上はあったと思います。あるいは他の一角にももっとあったのかも。いずれにせよ私の鍵は A11 にのみ、他の金庫の中身を確かめる術はありませんでしたが。
As the clerk watched, the doctor unlocked and opened the safe. When he did, a safe drawer like a large cabinet had opened, and an expensive-looking beryllium case peeked out. That was carried into it. I feel like I've seen the word beryllium case before, but I can't remember where I've seen that from. Because the word beryllium case, I've definitely seen it before. I can't remember where though. That was carried into a separate room, where for the first time the clerk left and he was introduced to the contents.
現金でした。
現金どれほど？
新札の100万円の束はちょうど厚みがそれがこれだけのジュラルミンケースの中に多分1億はあったでしょう。数えたわけではないから分かりません。手すら触れませんでしたから、私はすぐにこれは危険な金だと。
It isn't normal to store a whole 100 million yen in cash in a case in a safe like that. It's much easier to deal with if you put it into an account and turn it into numbers. When someone is unable to do that, then it's clear that there's something wrong with that cash.
私は頭が真っ白になり、すぐに関わり合ってはならないと直感しました。
それで一切手をつけなかった。
はい。そのまま施錠し直し、元の金庫に預けて立ち去りました。この鍵やカードも捨てようと思いましたが、何が起こるかわからない。そのため誰にも内緒で12年もの間、あれが何の金だったのか私にも未だに分かりません。
この封筒をお借りすることはできますか？
いえ。
Sorry, I was typing something really quick.
わかりました。では、ちょっと失礼します。調べ物を。
I took Onechan's grimoire from the knapsack I had set down. Then I opened to the page with the paragraph Beatrice had written to Onechan and compared it to the handwriting on both. There was no mistake about the characteristic handwriting. Sorry, I had to handle something really quick. The one who had set this 100 million yen in cash was Beatrice herself. But what is it? Something's bugging me. What is it? What could it be? Who the hell are you?
そんな郵便物が確か届いた気がしますわ。母ちゃん、 あれはどこにしまったっけな。
The same envelope and its contents had been sent to Kumasawa's son, who had once lived with her. Aw, he looks cute. Okay, he seems like a nice guy. Kumasawa's son is so sweet. Look at him. He seems like such a nice guy. Aw. But he had been very busy in the days since and seemed to have forgotten about it while running around all over the place. However, its strange contents had apparently stayed in his memory, and he also remembered it as soon as Angie mentioned it to him. After a bit of wait, his thin-lipped wife found the envelope, complaining that he always forgot where he put things away. The modus operandi for the sender and recipient was the same as Nanjo's son. The sender was made out to be Kumasawa's son, and the recipient was Kumasawa Chiyo. And the destination address was in Okinawa Prefecture. Okinawa Prefecture, Yameyawa Country, Yonaguni City, 1234567. Yonaguni Island was the westernmost tip of Japan, and the lot name was the exact same sequential number that had apparently been chosen without much care. Now it was certain. This envelope was definitely sent with the goal of having it be returned to the sender. Its contents were exactly the same. A letter with a pin and the bank's main branch written on it. A magnetic card, a key with an attached number plate. The inscription on the number plate was A113. The number right after the one on the key that had been sent to Nanjo. Most likely inside the vault was the same kind of beryllium case packed with 100 million yen in cash.
死んだお袋がメイドから送ってきたような気がしてね。中身もよくわからんし、薄気味悪いんで、ずっとほったらかしにしてて、今日まですっかり忘れてたんですわ。お嬢さんはこれが何かご存知なんですかね。ひょっとして、あんたんとこにも同じものが。
どうしたんです、エンジ様。ウリュウ、頭痛？
ごめん、頭が刺さってる。知ってるって何を。
まさかこの封筒、エンジ様のところにも。
I've remembered. A strange envelope was also sent to me 12 years ago. After losing my entire family, I was depressed, but it was a really strange thing to come in the mail, so I still had a faint memory of it. I love this guy in Kumasawa. If any of them were real, I would love to go and talk with her about mackerel or something. Yeah, Kumasawa's a sweetie. She's just a silly little lady. And her son seems like wouldn't that be such a nice family to eat out with? Like, going out to eat with them, and that seems like such a fun vibe, you know? It was a strange letter, which I had no memory of sending, but which had me as the sender. I forgot the destination address, but the name recipient had been Rudolph, my father. I remember how disturbed I was when I got a letter I thought was from my father, opened it up and found a key and a card that I didn't really understand. I felt let down and threw it away somewhere, I think. Where did I put the envelope? I probably lost it somewhere in the chaos that followed. By now I have no way of checking its contents. However, I have a general idea. I'm sure the contents were the same. Without a doubt, there had been a key, a card, and a note with a pin written inside the envelope.
これは何のつもりよ。あいつは全ての遺族にこんなふざけた金をばらまいたというの。死んだ後も愚弄するなんて許せない。
ウリュウ、エンジ。
Sakutaro ached nervously. As I looked at his worrying face, my agitation began to cool off bit by bit.
ベアトリーチェ憎しはあの6歳の日にもうすでにあの魔女と縁があったことに驚きと怒りを感じただけよ。
この12年間、エンジ様はずっとベアトリーチェ様の呪縛に囚われてきた。これがそのまさに呪縛の証となるのかもしれません。ですが、どうかしっかり。
She's trying to support her so hard. She's like, this is my girlfriend. She's been through so much. How do I help her?
それを打ち破るための旅でもあるはずです。
そうね。頭に血を上らせたって何の役にも立たないわ。冷静に考え、これはどういうことなの？ 遺族に1億円をばらまく意味は何？挑発だとでも言うの？ベアトリーチめ。
エンジェ、落ち着いて。ウリュウ。
Sakutaro buried his head in my stomach. He urged me to stay calm. What a cutie. I took another breath and started thinking. A Sakutaro figure would be so cute. Imagine having one. When I get money one day, I want to have a bunch of figures. But a Sakutaro figure would be so cute. Or a Sakutaro stuffed animal of his lion. That would be so cute.
消印は親族会議の直前。そ
That'd
して
be so
わざ
cute.
と時間をかけて変装されてくるように仕組まれている。事件の後に届くようにしたかったということかな。
うん、そうなるわ。でも少し疑問もあるの。なぜこんな不確実な方法で？
不確実？
ええ、だって何日で郵便が戻ってくるかなんて事前には想像もできないじゃない。郵送先の郵便局が調査し、送付先不明と判断し返送するまでの期間なんて普通は
そういえばそうだね。ちゃんと到着の期日を決めて、そういう郵便で出した方が確実。ウリュウ。まあでも前日に投函したんならどんなに早く戻ってきてもきっと月曜日以降の到着になったでしょうし、死者からの手紙を気取りたかったんじゃないかしら。
死者からの手紙か。確かにね、あれは驚くし嫌な気持ちになるわよ。死んだ家族の名前が表に大きく書かれている郵便、物々しい付箋付きで郵便受けに放り込まれているんだから。でも私は何か腑に落ちないわ。私だったら期日指定郵便にする。ひょっとしたら想定しない日に届くかもしれないという不安定さが私にはどうしても理解できないの。
ウリュウ、でも確かにそういうのベアトらしい。
え、あなたベアトのことわかるの？
ちょっとしかお話ししたこと。でもベアトならこういうことをするかなってのがマモンもなんとなく想像がつかない？ベアトってこういういたずら好きだよね。確かにそうかも。ベアドリージ様なら死者からの手紙みたいな悪質な。それだけじゃなくて絶対確実な方法じゃなくてちょっぴり不確実な方法の方をベアトリーチェは面白がるの。
不確実な方法を面白がる？
I remembered Maria Onechan's diary. It had been described as playing with Beatrice very often. During those times, Beatrice sometimes played pranks on the adults' relatives with Maria, but those pranks always had a touch of witch aesthetics, which was that they were more interesting when they were uncertain. One day, Maria Onechan and Beato decided to use a wind-up mini car that she had brought for a prank. It was a popular toy at that time, and if you made the mini car back up, it would wind up the spring and the tires, and when you would let it go, it would race forwards. They had wound up that mini car and sent it behind a milk jug. In other words, the prank was that if you lifted the milk jug, the mini car would jump forwards and surprise whoever did it. Hoping that someone would get caught in this prank, Onechan and Beato had watched the adults from the shadows for their whole tea time. They were looking forward to seeing someone get caught by it, but no one moved the trap milk jug, and the trap ended in a misfire. That's too bad. I'm gonna get a snack really quick, 1 sec. When Onechan had then muttered, "We should have put it somewhere where it would have definitely caught someone," Beato apparently said this: "The most interesting and thrilling traps are those where you don't know who will get caught, or if anyone will get caught at all." Probably true that you wouldn't get this kind of excitement from a trap that would certainly go off. Similar accounts occurred in multiple places. making it possible to guess that the witch called Beatrice had a fickle character and loved a random thrill. A fickle person is very hard to deal with. I can't spin the chessboard around to find out what that witch from 12 years ago is planning. As Angie examined these, her gaze darted from place to place. Then she suddenly showed interest in the wall. There are several framed pictures were hung. Many of them were commemorative photos from when the relatives of the Kumasawa family gathered, or when went somewhere to play, and Kumasawa was in several. And she still wore a smile that made it so you could almost hear her lighthearted ho 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 laugh. It's part of my distant memory, but I definitely remember that she was this sort of cheerful old lady.
熊沢さんは事件の直前に変わった様子はありましたか？
いや、いつも通りに見えたな。親族会議はピリピリするから辛い辛いと漏らすのはいつものことでしたし。
これは
Among the several frames, there was one that had something other than a picture of people in it. It was a picture of an enlarged relief of a door of a Western-style house or something. You couldn't see any interesting subject in particular, which actually bugged me a bit as I wondered why anyone had gone to all the trouble of taking it. As I got closer, I realized that some characters had been written in a pen.
ああ、それはお袋の形見分けでもらってきた写真ですわ。多分例の黄金伝説に関係したやつではないかと。
魔女の碑文ですか？10トンの黄金の隠し場所を示すと噂される。熊沢さんも挑んでおられたんですね。でもこれは碑文じゃない。初めて見るものです。
There was an arc above the Western-style door, and that's where the relief was. English words were engraved there, and that seemed to be where the picture was focused on. The pen writing appeared to be a translation into Japanese.
この扉は1000兆分の1の確率でしか開かない。
Yeah, I remember this.
あなたは1000兆分の1の確率でしか祝福されない。知らないわ。こんな文章、碑文にもお姉ちゃんの日記にも出てこない。
お袋の遺品の中に碑文の謎解きに挑戦してると思われる写真やノートが結構出てきたんですわ。お袋も案外そういうのが好きだったんだな。なんでも10トンの金塊が隠されてたって噂だ。そりゃあお袋も夢中になるはずですわ。
In both Maria Onechan's diary and in her grimoire, there was a description of the witch's epitaph. It had talked about how it was a ceremony to open the door to the Golden Land, Beatrice's resurrection ceremony, Beatrice's succession ceremony, on and on. Maybe the most interesting one was the last part, about it being a succession ceremony. According to Beatrice, if you were able to solve the witch's epitaph, you would receive not only the 10 tons of gold in the Ushiromiya family inheritance, but her own magical power and name, as well as the title of the Golden Witch. Among the Ushiromiya family household at the time, the witch's epitaph was thought of as a difficult quiz, which the family head Kinzo had arranged for her to choose as his successor. But with the marriage sorcery interpretation, the questioner was Beatrice herself, and she had posed the question in the part to choose her successor. There was slight discrepancies in the details of the two interpretations. Either way, its ominous contents brought to mind a bloody serial murder, and both of the message bottles drew a tale of crime following that pattern. If I could solve the witch's epitaph now, 12 years later, I wonder if I could expose some plot made back then. I tried to solve it many times myself, but I never had a clue what it meant. It seemed that many witch hunters tried as well. I also found theories like La Plata theory and the Enora theory in certain books. However, neither of these theories were conclusive.
他にも資料が。
あると思うけど、兄弟で適当に分けたからな。誰が何を持ってるやらさっぱりですわ。申し訳ない。
この熊沢さんが撮影した英文だけ読むと、めったに開かれない開かずの扉という印象を受ける。でもこれは屋敷のどこかしら。
It's the chapel, I remember that.
光の具合から屋外みたいだけど、熊沢さんはこの中にその黄金が隠されていると睨んでたのかしら。
さあ、いずれにせよ六軒島の屋敷のどこかでしょうな。おふくろの預金口座には残念だが黄金を発見したと思えるようなお金は入ってませんでしたよ。さすがに見つからんかったんでしょうな。
The Golden Witch Beatrice gave 10 tons of gold to Kinzo, which meant that the witch was the true owner of the gold. Beatrice was the owner of all of the vast fortune of the Ushinomiya family. The witch holding this vast wealth had massacred the humans on Rokkenjima that day, sending large amounts of money to the surviving relatives like it was a game. Like hell, it's a letter from the dead. This is a desecration of the dead. I was once again convinced when my family died on the island that day, they didn't go to heaven. They're being trapped by the witch even now and are being desecrated and tormented for all eternity. I don't think so. I don't think Beatrice is evil. I think she's complicated, but I don't know. The last place Angie visited was a store in the region between the housing district and the retail stores with a signboard saying Marufuku Sleep Shop. There lived the man who had been the boat captain of the ferry boat of Rokkenjima at the time. Even he, who had once lived as a man of the sea, had retired after contracting a serious illness and was now taken care of at the house of his son and his wife's son's wife.
あんたまだこんなに小さかった。立派になったな。そしてさぞや辛かっただろう。
Are we close to the end or
お前さ
no?
んの気持ちよくわかるぞ。
I'm just curious. The former boat captain was in such high spirits that you couldn't really tell why he had retired in the first place. His memory seemed clear too, and he could remember the events more than a decade ago well, apparently even how Angie had been at the time. The way he chatted on was very helpful for Angie, but at the same time he also remembered the final family conference very well. And the fact that he remembered even details like Battler's fall madness on the boat was actually painful for her. It had been so back then as well, but even now there was no public way to cross Rokkenjima. It was necessary to make an individual request to an owner of a boat to make the voyage. I had been unable to arrange a boat to Rokkenjima, so if you refused me, such a voyage would probably become hopeless.
わかってる。今あの島に行きたがる船なんぞ。今じゃ六軒島と呼ばず、古い名前の悪食島と呼ぶ者までおる。この辺りの船乗りじゃ首を縦には振るまいな。
You're about 75%? Cool. Sorry. Had something stuck in my throat, my bad. From the start, fishermen had feared Rokkenjima as an island of misfortune. And thanks for being here, Golden Sorcerer. It's always fun when you're here. And because of that incident 12 years ago, this fear had reached a peak. They respected the sea, feared it, and revered it. There was almost no sailors who would try to take a boat to the cursed island. Because of that, most of the witch hunters were unable to cross over to Rokkenjima, and were limited to taking a trip around the island. Ironically, this had caused the sense of mystery surrounding Rokkenjima to increase even more, which had resulted in the propagation of the bizarre witch stories they loved so much.
船は出してもらえるでしょうか。
うん。明日だけ返してもらう約束になっとる。最近はエンジンがだいぶご機嫌な波らしいがな。
Good.
かっ飛ばしてやるわい。
The former boat captain promised that tomorrow he would go back to his previous job and take his boat out to Rokkenjima. Now my method of transport to Rokkenjima is insured. This probably is all I can do on Nijima. All that's left is tomorrow. On Rokkenjima, I'll reach the final destination of a journey that stretches back 12 years. Woo!
よかったね。これで島へ行けるようになったね。
そうね。船を見つけるのは難しいと聞いていたから、船長が協力的で助かったわ。
エンジ様ほどではないにしても、船長にとっても12年前の事件は未だ抜けないトゲなんでしょうね。ウリュウ、船長さんも心の整理がつかなかったんだね。
I like watching you read too.
ずっと。そりゃそうでしょう。約束通り10月5日にあのじいさんが船を出してくれれば大勢が助かった可能性がある。
If I ever get called on in class, I'm gonna be good at reading out loud, I'll say that much.
ウリュウ、そんなこと言っちゃダメだよ。
What did she say? Oh.
船長さんもそれを今日までずっと苦しんできたはずだよ。
Apparently, they truly had been right in the middle of a typhoon on October 5th. According to the boat captain, he had known for certain that they'd been trapped by the typhoon if they headed to Rokkenjima on October 4th. But the family had been very persistent about the date of their conference, which had been determined beforehand. It was only natural. All of the relatives had been very busy at the time, and they came to the family conference only after arranging their schedules beforehand. It was probably a situation where they couldn't easily push it back to the next week just because the typhoon is approaching. It wasn't the boat captain's fault, but perhaps you could say that he wasn't so irresponsible that he could place the blame wholly on the typhoon. You're a nice person, a good reader for sure. Oh, thank you so much. I try my best. Certainly, just as these two said, there's no doubt that the boat captain had been dragging the events of 12 years ago along with him this whole time. And by taking me, the last member of the Ushiromiya line, to the island, and bringing me back safely, he might be trying to find some resolution for his past.
船は昼過ぎに帰ってくることになってる。それからあんたを六軒島へ案内するから、到着は夕方前になるだろう。電気も明かりもない島だ。あまり長いはできんぞ。その程度の上陸で、あんたの気は済むかね。
長い下から何かの気が済むと船を出してもらえるだけでも感謝します。
うん。すまんな。わしが船を手放していなければ、ケチなことを言わず、好きなだけ島へ案内してやれるんだが。
It's not like I have a goal of doing something in particular on Rokkenjima, so I'll be there during the evening which straddles the two different worlds of day and night. Seemed almost like a borderline between this world and the next, or possibly 1998, my birth date, and 1986, and it felt like the most fitting time to visit Rokkenjima. It's not like I have anything in particular to do there. Just staying there for a few hours should be enough for me to find some closure. At that time, there was a small knock on the paper sliding door, and Amakusa stuck his head in, tapping his watch. I nodded back and told him about how I succeeded in reserving a boat for tomorrow.
それはよく、そろそろ参りましょう。船長、明日はよろしくお願いします。
ああ、お前さんたちの難儀な事情も聞いとる。わしも当時のワイドショーを見ていて、面白半分に事件をかき回す連中に虫唾が走っとったもんだ。協力は惜しまんよ。
ありがとうございます。それでは明日お昼にこれ船代に。
Angie took a wrapped wad of 10,000 yen bills from her pocket. The boat captain should have noticed its thickness as well, but he paid absolutely no interest and shook his head.
わしはお前さんに感謝。これは天のお導きだ。あんたを六軒島へ連れて行き、そして無事に連れ帰る最後のチャンスをくださったんだ。
November 25th. That's my birthday. I was born I think I was born on Thanksgiving or near it. I don't remember because Thanksgiving changes. So my mom got to eat turkey while she was in labor.
わしは金蔵さんに任されていた最後の仕事を今ようやく終えることができる。
Well, not during the labor, but before and after, I'm assuming. I'll make sure to remember this year. No problem if you know. I'm horrible at remembering dates. Like, the only reason why I remember my birthday is because 25 is the same number as Christmas. So there's two things with the same date. You know what I mean?
金は当時の金蔵さんからたらふくもらってる。あんたから取れんよ。
ありがとうございます。
My tummy's hurting. I hope it goes away.
階段足元に気をつけてな。急だぞ。
I went down the steep staircase that was the exact opposite of accessible. It was getting hard to believe that there was an actual chest of drawers and a TV in the room upstairs. Most of the first floor was a bedding store with many futons piled up on each other. As we weaved our way through the cramped futon shop, after cautiously checking around outside, Amakusa dashed out first and started up the car.
孫の部屋が空いとる。泊まって行っても構わんのに。見ての通り、布団なら有り余っとるぞ。
ありがとうございます。万一の時、ご迷惑はかけられませんので。
事情は知らんが、相当な厄介に巻き込まれてるようだな。うさんくさい連中が人探しをしていると噂になっとる。あんたのことじゃないのかね？
さあ。
Angie played dumb, but it looked as though the boat captain had guessed.
わしは六軒島を目指す客人を送り届け、その仕事を12年前に中断したまま、まだ終えてない。
Poor guy.
だからわしは、
Oh, thank you.
あ
I
んた
do
のおかげ
too.
でその仕事をようやく終えることができるんだ。
Oh, my kitty woke up. Hello, baby. Hello, kitty girl. You have a nice nap? You have a nice nap? Hello. Oh, good girl. Sorry, I had to give her some love real quick. This guy is so nice. Yeah, he is. Oh, you can hear her good. Yes, my baby girl. Her name is Tallulah. Hello, honey. I'll put a picture in my Discord later of what Tallulah looks like. She's such a cutie pie. Okay, sorry, enough pets for her. You got enough pets, puppy.
わかってるな。
I will. I give her many pets for you. The little angel.
ええ。別に私は
Oh,
死にに行くんじゃない。
but part of me doesn't feel that if I could die on this island, I'd sure be able to go where my family is. I finally become aware of it. I might have been planning to die on that island. I might have come all this way, heading towards Orokunjima in a search of a place to die. The boat captain has guessed that as well. That's why he repeatedly told me not to die.
ええ。死にません。
That's
約束し
sad.
ます。
Oh, I understand where Angie's coming from, though.
どうして六軒島に行かなくてはならないのかの目的さえ。
I guess I really can relate to Angie and how she feels because, well, both my parents are dead, so I can definitely understand, like, if your whole family is gone, you definitely feel deserted. And it's kind of like, why am I the only one left, you know? So I can understand why if she's feeling that. I definitely can relate to Angie in that sense. Not to be depressing, but
目的はきっとある。
definitely can
あん
understand.
たにないなら、それは彼らにあるんだ。島があんたを呼んだ。だからあんたはここまで来たんだ。
そうかもしれませんね。私は呼ばれたのかもしれない。
Don't die, Angie. I was called. For what reason? For them. Father, mother, Battler Oni-chan, and Maria Oni-chan. Or maybe the Golden Witch, Beatrice. Aw, thank you. Yeah, no. It's sorry, I didn't mean to say something that was hard to respond to, but I was just thinking about it, you know what I mean? Just pondering. What is it on Rokenjima? And what will I achieve? But thank you for such nice words. I really appreciate it, Golden Sorcerer. Even though tomorrow is finally almost here, I still haven't been able to understand my own mission. I mean, luckily my parents weren't murdered like Angie's. I can't even imagine. I mean, I can't even imagine being and like Angie's situation is so bizarre. Like I don't even know what I would do. I would just be like, what?
それでは明日失礼します。
Winding between the stacks of futons in the cramped store, I was about to go outside, then my feet stopped.
どうしたね？
あれは？
あれ？はて、何の話だね？
Trembling all over, I pointed at it. Is it one of the 7 deadly sins stab thingies? But no matter how much the boat captain squinted, he noticed absolutely nothing in that direction that should have surprised me. That must mean...
エンジどうしてどういうことなのこれは
Show me, bitch! I wanna see what's going on.
そんなバカなことってこれは奇跡なの？ええ。多分これは運命よ。私は今理解これが私の使命だったのよ。
ウリュウ
What?
私には
Yeah, me neither, man. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Shaking, I pointed at the thin darkness inside the store and froze up.
何があるんだね？わからん。わしにはあんたには何が見えてる？
ありがとう、船長。全部。これは運命ここに私が訪れることさえ運命だった。これが私が六軒島へ行く目的で。
Because this scene isn't the same in all games? Oh, interesting.
エンジさん、どうしました？トラブルですか？
わしにもさっぱり。お嬢ちゃんが暗がりを指さしたまま固まっちまった。
エンジ大丈夫ですか？何が見えるんですか？
あなたたちにはそれよ、それ。
Just describe it. Describe it, you little.
見えるのはただの陳列だな。誰も言いやしませんぜ。
ウリュウ僕には何がこれは夢なの魔法なのどういうことなのエンジ
Sakutaro lifted his face towards Angie. From his eyes, I slid a single tear.
エンジ様
理解したわ、お姉ちゃん。そしてベアトリーチェ。
ウリュウ
Hello? Okay, I guess we don't get to know. Well then. This is the old version. It's better know it. Okay, yeah, tell me what she saw. If you don't mind, Golden Sorcerer, of course. A Sakutaro doll? The real one. Oh my god, what? Is this all to revive Sakutaro? No, that doesn't make sense. Let me think. Sakutaro doll is what she saw. Display keys. I don't get it. I am not making the connections. I'm not smart enough for this. I'm so confused. Why is the Sakutaro doll in the boat shop? I don't get it. Does it mean that Maria's still alive or something? I don't understand. Wasn't Sakutaro the one and only? Yeah, that's what I thought. Oh, did Rosa lie about that and not even make it and just buy one? And so there's another Sakutaro doll? Did Rosa... And so there's more than one Sakutaro doll? Oh, okay. That bitch, dude! Holy fuck, she's such a bitch. Oh my god. So Sakutaro... So that means Sakutaro can be revived again, right? I hope so. Once again, there was a call from Kraus to the guest house. And the message was that Kinzo wanted to hold a test to see if the grandchildren had qualifications to become his successor. Yeah, Maria never knew that. I see, makes sense. The head has said that his successor will not be one of us siblings. Oh wait, he's talking. When Krause's restrained style of speech, Jessica realized his daughter that he was being forced to speak. And she was forced to realize that the hostages were being exposed to danger even now, and that if they refused this test, there was a possibility that the hostages would be harmed. Krause put down the receiver and then looked at the grinning Kinzo on the other side of the bars. Kinzo gave his next order.
テストの前に無関係なものを排除しなく合田と熊沢がテストに干渉されて彼らをゲストハウスより追放でバラ庭園に演劇そこへ合田と熊沢まずはそれからだ直ちに遂行するように伝え
Yeah, lock up Goda, stupid bitch, but not Kumasawa.
疑わしい行為に及べばテストは直ちに中止し、お前たちす。わかりました。
わかりました。
もしもし、ジェシカ。
わかりません。わかりません。That's one of the first things I learned in Japanese in my class is wakarimasu, which means understander, and wakarimasen means I don't understand. I don't understand. Kraus relayed the orders to lock up Goda and Kumasawa.
どんなテストをなさるつもりですか？
実に簡単なテストだ。孫たちの覚悟を見せてもらうだけだ。さて、どんな結果を見せてくれるの
Looking disgusted, Kirie watched Kraus, who was talking with the children. I kind of want to pause a little soon and go into Zelda. What do you think of that? I hate it, but for now we cannot refuse orders. In this dungeon, a feeble resistance won't amount to anything. If we provoke him too much and drive him into a position where he might kill us, there will no longer be any way to stop this murder. Do you like Zelda Golden Sorcerer? Have you ever played it? For now, the only choice left is to obey his rules without agitating him, all the while waiting for an opportunity. However, if we continue to obediently follow his commands, the children might be attacked in this so-called test, and they might even lose their lives. Whether we feign obedience or try to resist, nothing will cause the situation to improve. Whether we feign obedience or try to resist, nothing will cause the situation to improve. Anyway, straining our eyes so we don't let a single chance escape until the very end is the only resistance possible now. While telling herself this, Kirie watched over Kraus as he delivered Kinzo's orders.
キリエさん、ここは辛抱しましょう。
わかってるわ。悔しいけれど、今は待つしかない。この鉄格子さえ何とかできれば、私たちは屋敷へ戻ることができるんだから。
なんとかここを出られれば、試してみましょう。金蔵さん、頼みがある。
何か我が友よ。
金蔵さんが子供たちを試したいというのはよくわかった。
Maybe the letters are related to the test for the children.
金蔵さんの納得のいくようにするといい。金蔵さんの力がなければとっくに潰れていたかもしれない牛。その担い手を慎重に選びたい気持ち。それにそのための親族会議だ。私らは邪魔はせんよ。
お前の理解がそうだ。これは親族会議なのだ。私が次期当主を選び決定する。
それでだが金蔵、ここはあまりにあんたのテストの邪魔はせんから、もう少し暖かい場所に移してもらうことはできんかね。
At Nanjo's words, the slight signs that Kinzo's mood had been improving were blown away. Nanjo was struck with a moment of silence as Kinzo gazed at him with dangerous eyes as though appraising him.
確かにここは冷えます。廊下にはおつらいでしょう。親方様、上の部屋に移し替えてもよいのでは。
それはできぬ。甘いぞ南條。お前は一手猶予を与えるような素振りで実に華麗に布石を打つではないか。その手には乗らんぞ。凍えるというなら真っ赤に焼けた石炭でも敷き詰めてやればよい。
申し訳ございません。
Virgilia tried to help out, but in the end, Kinzo would not comply.
あなたたちはおとなしいの。その気になればこんな鉄格子。
ここを破ったとて何もなりません。
確かにここを破ったならゴールドスミスのゲームが終わることを。あなたたちも、そしてゲストハウスの人間たちも即座に金蔵の儀式の生贄となるでしょうね。でも案外あなたたちだけかもしれないわよ。この状況を打開できる力を持っているのはね。黄金鏡にたどり着きたいんでしょ。叶えたい夢がいっぱいあるんでしょ。
ガープ、挑発はいけませんよ。これはあなたのゲームではない。親方様の、そしてお嬢様のゲームです。
どうしたロノウェイ。
いえいえ、何も。捕虜とおしゃべりをしていました。お許しを。
Cap set one final sneering smile at Cannon, then turned away. Cannon could only bite his lower lip and shake his fist. I definitely like Cannon a lot.
よく頑張ったね。よく我慢したよ。
僕たちは無力だ。家具だから。
そうだね。でも家具は必要とされることだって。今の私たちは暗い地下室にしまわれている。きっといつか誰かが愛してくれる、必要としてくれるか。だから今は挑発に乗らないで耐えようね。
お父さん、ゴーダたちを倉庫に閉じ込めるよう指示をしました。
よかろう。電話を切ってよい。シエスタ姉妹、孫たちがゴーダと熊沢を。もしも不審な動きがあるようならば、その時点で次期当主を選ぶテストは。
When Kinzo made his order, the Chiester sisters appeared behind him in a line.
了解であります。石膏は私がやる。556と410は両翼支援。45は全周警戒。
00-556は
そう、すまない。
いい子でした。だから私は嫌いに。いいやつは。
何をしているかシエスタ。
What is that about? Interesting.
我が命令を遂行せよ。
失礼しました。では監視出撃。
The Chiester sisters erased their forms simultaneously. Nanjo and Kide had witnessed the instant they appeared and disappeared as if by teleportation. But they interpreted this as moving in and out of the darkness in a way that only looked like teleportation. The two could do nothing but rub their eyes.
さて、私はテストの準備をしよう。ロノウェイ、ガープ、お前たちには試験官を頼む。ワルギリアはこやつらを監視するように。何しろ我が家具が2人。一応は警戒せよ。
He glanced at Shannon and Cannon. Tightly closing her eyes, Shannon gave a silent bow and answered wordlessly, avoiding any unnecessary actions.
かしこまりました。注意します。リーアの老体には寒くて辛くない？湯たんぽでも持ってくる？ うるさいです。早く追いきなさい。ガップ。
They're in love with each other.
さてさて、テストとは、そして試験官とは、今回のゲームは変わった試みですね。お嬢様を楽しませる展開になると良いのですが。
さあさあおいでなさい。ヤギの従者たち。
Besto friendo. Virgilia began to call out into the darkness, and from that spot, 3 massive goat-head attendants suddenly appeared.
リーチェの眷属ね。
Sorry.
便利だわ。しかも暖かそうだし。ああ、湯たんぽの代わりね。ならヤギより羊の方がいいんじゃない？カシミヤ雑巾のくせにうるさいですよ。彼らは賢くはありませんが、命令に忠実で強靭な頼れる従者たちです。
うん、任せるぞ。我が友ワルギリアよ。残りの者は私と来い。
With a dignified gesture, Kinzo fluttered his cloak. Following him were Ronove and Gab, as well as the 3 recently summoned goat attendants.
あなたたちは私と残るのですよ。ついていかないように。
The goats jumped in surprise and came tottering back. Kirie, who had been watching stunned as all this played out, couldn't help but snort.
愉快な部下ね。ゴールドスミス教より死後の許可は与えられてい
She
ま
was
せん。
probably embarrassed. Virgilia had spoken coolly, but Kirie saw through them. For a little while, she couldn't restrain her muffled laughter. However, on the inside, Kirie was surprised at the number of people Kinzo had with him. After all, including Kinzo itself, at least 10 enemies had already been spotted. The dungeon they were currently locked in was supposedly underneath the hidden mansion called Kuadorian. Although this mansion had been whispered of, not even Kraus had known of its existence until today. And there are actually several facilities like this on Rokenjima where many unknown henchmen that only Kinzo knows of hide? Just how many humans are on Rokenjima locked away by the typhoon? No, on the contrary, we are the only ones under the impression that there were only 8. Were we the only ones under the impression that there were only 18 people on this island? I wasn't. I knew there was more. Were we who bickered over whether Beatrice existed or not, worried about a 19th person existed or not? Nothing more than frogs in this well on an island? No, wait, not only that, by now are there actually more people on the enemy side than ours?
何が起こってるの？魔女？悪魔？魔法？それを信じろというの？おかしいのは私の目？それとも頭なの？頭がどうにかなりそうよ。
A massive murder by magic, demons forming and disappearing into thin air. Setting aside the enemy's number, how should we interpret the various things thrust before our eyes that could not be explained with the common sense of our world? Kirie started to feel like she didn't know what was going on anymore. And while desperately battling the urge to abandon everything and give up, she grit her teeth and tried to hold on to her sanity. Obviously, Goda and Kumasawa were quite unwilling to be locked in the Rose Garden shed, but they were threatened that if they resisted, the hostages' safety could not be guaranteed. It was fairly hard to get them to agree, but once they started thinking that their safety might actually be guaranteed if the key to the gardening storehouse was to be handed to them after being shut inside, and when it was decided that the blankets and food would be carried in for them, they were finally convinced.
ここは寒々しいですね。私たちはいつまでここに閉じ込められていればいいのでしょうか。
下手をすると月曜の朝まで丸々一昼夜はいてもらうことに、本当にお二人には申し訳なく思うよ。
Shut up, George. George and Battler cleared a space on the floor, then spread out the blankets there. They also left the canned food, crackers, and other light snacks they had bought.
月曜の朝までを二人でこの量じゃ辛いな。せめて厨房に寄れたなら。
余計な場所には行くなと言われてる。私たちは監視されてるらしいしな。
何もお力になれないことを、こんな時に皆さんのおそばにいてこその私どもなのに。
仕方ないです。それより熊沢さんを何が起こるかわからない。いざという時は臨機応変に助けてほしい。そして何よりも無事でいてほしい。
ええ、分かっています。皆さんこそ気をつけてくださいね。今の親方様はまるで人の命をチェスの駒のように奪います。気をつけてください。
Rhoda stared at the floor, even now unable to believe what had happened as he remembered the atrocity in the dining hall. And he hung in his shame as his failure to describe that terror.
ありがとう。くれぐれも注意してくださいね。熊沢さんも。
ジョージさんたちもくれぐれもご用心なさってくださいね。もう私には何が何やらさっぱりわかりませんとも。
それじゃあ僕たちは行きます。行こう、バトラ君、ジェシカちゃん。ほら、マリアちゃんも。
Looking at the pitiful expressions on the imprisoned pair's faces, it got really hard to close the shutter, but we can't disobey. We're being watched. The shutter was brought down and locked. Then George walked towards the small window on the side of the storehouse. That side there was a small lattice window that could only admit light and ventilation. It looked like it was something from a jail, making the two of them seem even more plausible, but on the other hand, it would hopefully protect Kinzo and his subordinates. He opened the window and called out.
大丈夫ですか？寒くないですか？
ええ、毛布をこんなにいただきましたからね。くるまっていればきっと平気ですよ。
石油ストーブとかを持ってくればよかったな。
ここじゃ換気できないからね。辛いだろうけど今は仕方がない。僕たちは人質を取られている。逆らえない。
なんとかキリエさんたちを救出するし。
聞かれてるかもしれないよ。
ああ。
さん、これそのシャッターの鍵です。
確かにお預かりします。
Goda took the key, showed it to Kumasawa, and placed it in his own pocket. There's only one key to the gardening shed's shutter. That's not true. We know they can get in there. That key was being held by the ones locked up inside it. If the children had kept it and hadn't stolen it by some chance, that would do nothing but expose the lives of those in the shed to danger. And even with the key, the shutter could not be opened from the inside. Kinzo's demands were fulfilled this way. However, there was no longer any way to open the shed from the outside either. This protected them. Kinzo had ordered that they be confined, and we do nothing but trust that this cold, closed room would protect them. Jessica watched while holding Maria's hand, and then looked over at the thickets in the pitch-black rose garden. Somewhere in this darkness, someone was hiding, watching to see whether we obeyed orders or not. Of course, when we pointed our flashlights out there, no suspicious silhouette appeared. Yeah, we don't have any red for this episode. I mean, I know in the past, Beato has stated there's only 18 people, which makes me just believe more that there's more witches and stuff. But surely someone's out there hiding and watching. I was hit many times with the urge to scream at them, but I was able to hold that urge back through reason. The four children left the area, repeatedly looking over their shoulders. Light from the faint light bulb in the garden storehouse was seeping out slightly. I wonder if this insane incident will come to an end somehow so that we can meet those two again. To George, who had closed the den himself, the resistance of the lock had made it feel as though he'd killed them with his own hands.
それでも俺たちは逆らえないんだよな。
テストだとクソじじいめふざけやがって。 それで母さんたちが殺されて父さんたちが捕まって理解できねえぜ。ぶっ殺してやる。
大丈夫だよジェシカお姉ちゃん、悲しくなんかないよ。もうすぐ魔女は蘇がすぐに黄金鏡で会えるよ。あいて
不謹慎なことで笑うんじゃねえ。何が魔女復活の儀式だ。妄想はじい様の頭の中だけにしときゃいいものを大勢巻き込みやがって。こいつは高くつくぜ。
ゲストハウスに戻ろう。おじい様から電話があった際に不在だったらまずい。
Urged on by George, everyone began walking towards the guest house. At that moment, Jessica turned in a circle, facing towards the darkness of the road garden, and roared.
誰か見てんだろ。ジジイに伝えとけ。絶対にぶち殺してやるってな。
Furious Jessica. Of course, there was no reply, only the howl of the wind and rain. The children turned to return to the guest house, while fearing what was waiting for them up ahead. After they left, from the exact point in the darkness that Jessica had yelled at, 2 rabbit ears sprung up.
45がすっとろいからバレたね。
Me.
竜王様に怒られる。ごめんなさいごめんなさい。竜王様に言いつけるのは許してください。
黙れ静か。どうせハッタリだ。ゴーダと熊沢の監禁は確認。任務完了。報告に戻るぞ。
イエーイイエーイ。
連帯責任で人参と水だけの刑になりたいか。行くぞ。
So many bunnies. Hi, Blarneko. How are you? I hope you're doing well. The fact that they were being watched certainly seemed to be true. Good. Oh, good. I'm glad. Because when they returned to the cousin's room, turned on the lights and lay down on the bed, the phone rang. Earlier, Jessica had been answering the phone, saying that this was her house, but now it was the eldest, George, who picked it up. This time, Kiryu-san was on the other side of the line. George handed it to Battler out of consideration.
もしもし、キリエさんか。そっちは大丈夫なのか。
心配をありがとう。今のところは快適よ。ごめんなさい。死後は慎め。今から伝えることをよく聞いて。
The fact that they were hostages still hadn't changed. Keynes-or, one of his subordinates, were listening to the conversation. Battler restrained the urge to talk about other things and focused on what Kiryu had to say.
ジェシカちゃん、ジョージ君、そしてマリアちゃんの順で行われる。順番に呼び出すから、それまでその部屋を呼び出された者は一人で指定された場所に向かうこと。
Battler repeated it out loud so that the cousins listening in around him could hear.
ジェシカ、兄貴、俺、マリアの順で呼び出しがあるまで部屋にいろ。わかった。マリアもなのかや。
Is he gonna kill them? I wonder.
クソジジイは何を強いる気なんだ。
後ろ宮家の命運はあなたたちに握られてるわ。
Battler noticed a strange nuance in Kiryu's words. Even without a blood connection, he could still understand, thanks to the long-lasting bond they shared. That's a lie. They don't have a long-lasting bond because Kiryu is a bitch who doesn't like him. At this point, it doesn't make sense to worry about the Ushiromiya family itself. That probably wasn't the message Kiryu wanted to send. Oh my god, they're doing frickin', can you guys hear that? The gardeners? I hope you can't. I hope you can't hear it because it's so loud. Our lives are in your hands, something like that. No? Okay, thank goodness you can't hear it. The gardeners just started going and I was like, oh my god, no.
どんなテストか知らねえが上等だぜ。受けて立ってやら。本気のテストなんだよな。マジにやっちまっていいんだよな。
ええ、本気のテストよ。おじい様も本気で試すつもりでいるわ。
ダメだな。全然死にかけの老いぼれが俺と本気。寝言は棺に入ってから言いやがれ。そこにいるジジイに言っとけ。次期当主は俺だ。その最初の仕事はてめえの面に鉄拳ぶち込んでやることだってな。
Even without Keating having to repeat it, Battler's fairly powerful declaration of war reached Kinzo's ears.
バトラー、それは実に楽しみであるぞ。一度は後ろ宮の名を捨てた男が何の境地に至って我が前にそう伝えよ。
Unfortunately, Kinzo's voice was not picked up by the receiver, therefore Kirie spoke for him.
大いに上等だそうよ。いい？バトラ君、手加減は不要よ。あなたはルドルフさんの息子。いいえ、私の息子よ。
Oh my god, finally.
誰に自慢しても恥ずかしくないところを。
She's finally growing.
あなたに全てを託すわ。
了解だぜ、母ちゃん。
Aw, that's so sweet. They're finally calling each other mom and son. Oh, this is such a big moment for them. Kirie finally is realizing that he's not the other woman. He's his own person.
あとは任せておけ。
Oh, that's so sweet.
全員は当主跡継ぎの資格を失う。もう私たちは取られてゲーム版から外された駒も同然よ。だからあなたたちだけで戦って。
キリエさん。
The nuance of those words meant we've already given up, so forget about us. But for that very reason, I won't give up. I'll definitely crush this test or whatever and save everyone.
それでは、一番最初のジェシカちゃんへの自分の部屋へ。
自分の部屋？
お屋敷のジェシカちゃんの自室って意味のよね。
ジェシカに代わる。直接伝えてやってくれ。ジェシカ。
はい。わかりました。
わかりました。
もう覚悟決めたぜ。行ってくるぜ。
Even Jessica was probably tempted to succumb to the fear of a girl her age, but she crushed those feelings and strengthened her resolve.
私たちは監視されて余計なこともできない。言いなりになるしかないさ。
食堂でジジイは何のためらいもなく瞬く間に6人を殺したという。それは俺たちに対しても同じかもな。
分かってる。返り討ちにしてやるぜ。
無茶はダメだよ。危険だと思って。
Shut up,
自分の
George.
クラウスおじさんが自分のために胸が張り裂けてしまうに違いないから。
逆も同じだぜ。父さんと母さんが殺されて私の胸だって張り裂けるぜ。
バトラ君、さっきの話は本当だよね。
ああ、キリエさんたちはもう覚悟を決めている。
ならなおのこと上等だぜ。みんなの命は私たちの双剣にかかってるってことだ。人質みんなは囚われの身で何もできない。なら私たちが何とかするしかねえんだぜ。
もし何かあったらゲストハウスに逃げ戻って、その時点で僕たちがおじい様のゲームに付き合うのは終了。
兄貴。
その時点で僕たちは宣戦布告、どこかに閉じ込められている彼らを救い出し、おじい様には
Sure you will, George. You and what army is gonna do that?
いいのか、兄貴。
So stupid.
だからといって僕は座して婚約者が殺されるのを待ちはしないよ。僕が恐ろしいのはおじい様に僕の婚約者に恐怖を味わわせたクソじじいを君らが僕より先にぶん殴っちまうことだけさ。
なるほどな。確かにこいつは次期当主が誰かを決めるってテストらしいぜ。
だな、クソジジイの顔面に一番最初に拳をお見舞いしたやつが。
George, Battler, and Jessica each forcefully nodded their heads and put their fists together. That's funny. That's cute. Then oh, I love this song. Then Jessica headed off to her room as designated. Her form disappeared into the darkness of the rose garden, waving in the strong winds. Watching her go, George and Battler gripped their fists even tighter, making them quiver. Left on the second floor, Maria watched Jessica's back through the window. She wore a blank expression. Jessica's form was already being completely swallowed up by the darkness. That time the phone began to ring again. Battler and George heard it, came clamoring back, but Maria picked up the receiver right away. This time Shannon was on the phone, and this time the message was to tell the next person, George, where he was to go. OMG, George, you are so cool, Pepega. Time to beat up old people? Damn right. Come at me, geezer. I'm gonna give you the 1-2. Pa, pa, pa. Pa, ta, pa, 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 pa. I know, fucking George, I can't. I'm scared you're gonna beat him before I do. Rah. Let me beat him up first. George, you're not gonna beat up anyone. Sit down. Of course, since the time of her birth, Jessica had been raised in this mansion. Oops. The atrophied Western-style house that the cousins called a mansion was her home. And yet she never understood her cousin's feeling as much as she did today. At the same time, she'd never felt her own home, which she knew as well to be as alien as it seemed now. Her own room. This had once been her hideaway, the only place in this vast mansion where she could feel at peace. However, she had never felt much pressure coming from that door as she did now. We need Cannon in his outfit swag. Oh, outside swag outfit? True. We do. He looked so good in his outside outfit. You're so right. She acted tough, trying to deceive herself, trying to make herself believe she wasn't scared of anything. Readying herself, she opened the door to her room. When she saw that fortunately the room didn't appear to be messed up, she relaxed. No one was there, of course. There was nowhere for anyone to hide in here. FBI, open up! Pa, pa, pa! Right away, Jessica locked the door behind her. This way the room was safe. She peeked under the bed and the closet, but of course no one was hiding. She looked at the clock. It was just past 23:10. As her tension lessened and the fatigue came back to her tired body, she realized how messed up this whole day had been. It was still about 2300. The plan had been for all the cousins to gather, have fun playing around, and talk animatedly about various things together until night. Normally we would have been doing that kind of thing right now. Why has that turned into this? She shook her head back and forth with anger and sadness, but there was no one here to direct those emotions at. Because of the lock, this room's security was guaranteed. Remembering that one more time, Jessica somehow regained her calm. If it keeps up like this and nothing happens, I want to go to the dining hall and see Mom's dead face. Even though Goda emphasized so strongly it was gruesome, and that I definitely shouldn't go to look at it, even so I wanted to see her face at the end. But we were warned repeatedly that stepping out of line even a little would put hostages in danger. Could it be that locking the door was also against the rules? I closed myself up in here, I alone might be safe. But if I don't open it, it'll surely be against the rules, and Dad Cannon, Shannon, and Aunt Kide and Dr. Nanjo will be killed. There's no way the scales will balance out between 5 lives and my own life. Jessica tightly shut her eyes, resisting the other part of herself that said, "Isn't it okay as long as I stay alive?" Face the door and made to unlock it. At that time, clap, 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 a crisp applause ran out, making Jessica's heart leap.
鍵をかけたままならルール違反ということになり、人質たちにもしかしそれでも自分のしかしあなたはその誘惑に耐え自ら鍵を開けようとした。そのあなたの勇気は称賛に値しますよ。
If I, the owner of this room, searched everywhere a human could have been hiding, where did this man come from? There was nowhere for a human to hide, but could something non-human have managed it? This was supposedly my first meeting with this largely built middle-aged man. I didn't recognize this guy who looked like a butler and bore the crest of the one-winged eagle.
はじめまして、ジェシカ様。私は親方様より家具頭を任されております。72柱の27位、ロの上と申します。
ロの源氏さん。
ああ、源氏は私の弟のよう、あるいはこの世界における私の正しい姿だった。
Interesting. What does that mean? Does that mean Kumasawa is the teacher's true form in this world? Are all the witches connected to someone? Interesting.
と言っても良いでしょうな。
何を言ってんだ。
Genji but hotter? True! He is hotter.
おっと、これは失礼しました。
Haven't you ever read Genji's full name? No. What is it? Let's see. It just says Servant Genji. I don't think he's told me his whole name. I think like I haven't seen his full name. Because they just say servant. They don't show we've never learned any of the servants' last names ever. Oh my god, she has a tattoo of the eagle on her leg. I didn't even notice that. Cannon's little socks. Why are they striped? That's so random. Fuck you, Goda. I guess that will. Yeah, I think I learn it later.
それでは本題に移りましょう。
クソジジイの言うテストとかいうやつだな。
さようでこちらが親方様がジェシカ様に賜まれましたテストでございます。
At Ronove's elegant gesture, just like that butler ordering for a meal to be set out, many gold butterflies flew up out of nowhere. As the cloud of gold butterflies spun around in a small swirl, they gathered in one place. Then that gold mound disappeared like a pile of leaves blown away by a cold, wintry wind, and there lay a western envelope with the one-winged eagle crest done on it in gold leaf. Jeez, what a horrible way to phrase that. With a gesture, Ronove urged her to pick it up. Jessica timidly did so and opened the letter inside. Is it the epitaph?
そこに記されている問いにどうか後ろ宮家を担う次期当主としての心構えで臨んでいただき答えとそれに至ったお考えをお聞かせください。
Shaking, Jessica looked between the the paper in Ronove's face several times. You need to solve the test too, Bunny. Oh god, I want to know your answer. Okay, if the test isn't the epitaph, I'll try to solve it as best as I can. At that time, George, who had been called out after Jessica, could be seen in the arbor of the rose garden. If things had gone normally, he had planned to give Shannon the ring that would be proof of their engagement here at this time on this day. But the woman in front of George now was not Shannon.
読みなさい。それがゴールドスミスからあなたに与えられるテストよ。
It's easy? Okay. George picked up the Western envelope, which was on the table where he'd had tea with Shannon, and read its contents. Perhaps its message was short. After glancing at it, George's eyes grew sharp.
見ての通りよ。それがあなたに与えられる次期投資の資格を探るテスト。
Oh, wait, I have to BRB for like 2 minutes. Hold on one second. Sorry, something came up. I'll be right back for like 2 minutes. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm so sorry about that. I'm back. Had to handle something really quick. Let's get back to it. One sec.
次期投資としての資格を自らに問いながら、その問いに答えなさい。
なんてバカな問題だ。
そうね。本当にバカな問題ね。なら、ゴールドスミスにとっての後ろ宮家の家督なんて、その程度のものなんじゃない
？George lowered his eyes to the surface of the letter, once again examining its context. George and Jessica, while the tests given to them were slightly different, they are almost exactly the same.
以下に掲げる3つのうち2つを得るために1つを生贄に捧げよ
う。簡単な3択じゃない。どれを見殺しに選ぶか自ら決めなさい。選択を拒めばテストは私の手で。それさえも選択肢に含めるなら4択ね。私、君みたいなこと遊ぶのは随分久しぶりだから、それも嫌いじゃないわよ。
この3択はあくまでもテスト、それとも選択は結果を伴うのか。
何を甘えてる。君が選択したものは必ず命を落とす。
Among the 3 mentioned below, in order to gain 2, sacrifice 1. 1. Your life, Shannon's life, everyone else's lives. If you do not choose 1, all of the above will be lost. Is Jessica's canon?
2番目の選択肢にはそのものが最も必要とする愛するもの。ジェシカへのテストの2番にはカノンって書かれているはず。
このバカな問題をジェシカにも出したの。
ジェシカのことなんか。
I would sacrifice myself, I guess. I'd rather sacrifice myself than the people I care about, always.
今試されているのは実に簡単な3択だわ。他の2つのためにどれを捨てられるかと。簡単でしょ。それでも決まらないならコインでも貸してあげる。
コイン2面しかないものでどうやって3択。
自分の命を捨てられるものはとなればおのずと残る選択肢は愛する者のために一人でも多くを救うために愛する者一人を諦めるか。どっちにももっともらしい大義名分がつけられるわ。だって今やこの六軒島は悪魔の島ですもの。人間の世界の甘ったるい馴れ合いなんて必要ないの。誰も責めないわ。 あなたの心の赴くままに後ろ宮家の家督を継ぐにふさわしい資格が自らにあるかを問いながら、いいえ、自らが後ろ宮家当主であると思って選択なさい。
Yeah, I'd sacrifice myself.
しやがって。
Jessica crumpled up the letter and threw it on the floor.
お怒りはごもっともと思います。私も非常にお気の毒で、それでいて実に滑稽な出題だと思う。
自分から死にたいと願う人、そして愛する人の命を見捨てて生き残りたいと思う人間なんているもんか。そして自分たちだけ良ければ他の人間すべてを見殺しにできる人間なんて。
いいえ、いても良いのでございますよ。ここは六軒島、悪魔の島。今や人間の世界から完全に切り取られ、魔界にと。
I understand your answer, but isn't that selfish because the other person wouldn't like that? I don't ever think it's selfish. I think it's selfish to expect someone to live for you. I would still kill myself, I don't care. Like, that's 100% my answer. Like, maybe you're different and that's totally cool if you are, but for me it's like, I'd never kill another person over my own life. Because you could say it's just as selfish to kill someone else, because then everyone who cares about them, everyone who cares about that person is gonna be affected. So, everyone's gonna be affected no matter what. So I'd rather take myself out. Personally, I would do that.
人の世の価値観など、次の燃えないゴミの日に出してしまいますとも。
But that's why it's super hard. Well, as someone with mental illness, I've certainly thought about stuff like this a lot, about how it affects other people, but ultimately, I think it's a little bit different if it's like suicide than this, because in this you're not really suffering, right? You don't have depression, so it's a little bit different because, you know, Jessica isn't depressed right now, she's just trying to pick. So, but I'm not depressed right now, but even if I wasn't depressed, I'd still pick that. But I understand how it would affect other people, but like, tough fucking luck! That's what I say, tough luck, man!
ですからどうか、ジェシカ様が心より欲するものを順にお選びください。その結果、残ったものがこの狂った今宵にふさわしきジェシカ様の回答となりましょう。
ふざけるな！こんなのどれも選べるものかよ！
いずれも選ばねば上記のすべてを失立派な第四の選択肢でございます。それを選ばれるのもまた一興でございましょう。
It's a noble self-sacrifice, I know, because I would choose myself, but I like to think of it from all ways. Oh yeah, of course. Of course there's like other but like I could never kill that many people for the person I love, and I could never kill the person I love to save everyone else. So for me the option's very obvious to me, but I could understand why a lot of people might pick their lover. I could see that.
ただそれを選び結局自らの命を落とされるなら他の二つを救わすべてはジェシカ様の選択に委ね。
But if they're all given this, what if someone puts everyone else but Jessica puts herself? So would they cancel out? How would that work with all the successors?
この炉の上、親方様の血を引きし末裔にふさわしき素晴らしい回答を心より期待いたしております。
That scene was observed through the magic crystal ball Kinzo held. Kinzo finally couldn't hold it back, and spreading his arms and facing the heavens, began laughing in an explosive voice. Oh, that's such a cool emo blur. That's literally Kinzo right now. Fucking psycho.
愚かなる孫たちよ、我が待つ即答できる簡単な問題ではない。朝のトーストにバターを塗るかジャムを塗るかより迷わぬ選択であるというの。お前たちには正しい答えがわかるか?
He turned to face the Chioster sisters who had been waiting on him.
愚か者め、選べもせぬとはな。自らの生きる理由も目的も見出せん愚かなウサギめ。
You foolish rabbit.
貴様など誰にも気づかれずに踏み潰されて生を死ね。
No! Don't get rid of me!
お前はどうか。
私は一番の自分の命を生贄とするであります。ブグは戦い、そしてブグは敵を撃ち愛する者たちを守って死ねるなら本望であり。
ほう、ブグらしい実に即答。お、そう答えれば人参が一本余計にもらえ。違うよな。
Are you supposed to pick everyone else? Oh my god, hey, how are you? I hope you're doing well. Yay, you made it! I hope you're doing good.
そう聞かれたらそう答えようと、お前はただ吹き込まれた通りに答えたに過ぎない。
Oh my god, this is literally the emote you made. Look, he's literally doing the emote right now. Rah! Yes, I am doing well. Thank you so much. Hurrah! I'm Kinzo. I'm a psychopath.
お前も今のウサギと同じだ。自分の生きる理由と目的を未だに見出せずに生きている。
Is he gonna say everyone else, or is that supposed to be the answer? Oh yeah, hey. So let me catch you up on where we are, hey. So right now, Kinzo has a bunch of people trapped in a basement, and he's like, okay, so I'm gonna let all my grandchildren... You're missing the... Oh, Beatrice! So true. So he gets all the grandchildren, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna test you guys to see if you can be my successor or not. And so he gives them the test, and the test is choose one and sacrifice the other two. And the options were given to Jessica and George. And the options for George were to kill himself, to kill Shannon, who's his fiance, or to kill everyone else. And Jessica was to kill herself, kill Cannon, who she's in love with, or kill everyone else. So that's the decision. I picked kill myself because I wouldn't want to kill my lover or everyone else. But Kinzo's saying that that's not the right answer, apparently.
潰されて他の家畜の餌にでもなるのがお似合いよ。
家畜の餌、光栄であります。
違うだろう。
Mm-hmm.
もう誰も死ぬところを見たくないんだろう。それがなぜ認められぬのか。認めろよ。お前の古傷の奥の奥が未だに産んで腐っていること。不臭にて鼻が曲がりそうであるわ。愚かなる腐れウサギめ。
What's he got against rabbits? Bunnies are good.
褒め言葉である。
He's being so mean to her, poor thing. Ooh, she looks way different than she usually does.
この三択から何を選ぶ？
にひ、迷うことなく当然2番であります。
Edge.
おお、2番か。愛する者を生贄に捧げることを胸を張って選べる者は訳を聞かせよ。
愛する者はいつかいなくなるからです。愛する者がいなければ傷つかないし、いなくてもいつかまた誰かを愛せるかもしれない。
Oh, that's a really sad way of looking at it.
だから今愛してるものなんて大した価値はないのですに。にひ。
なるほど。それでそういう
Yeah.
回答になるわけか。
Yeah, that's not the right answer.
傷ついたがゆえに臆病になったウサギ
Because she picked it out of her sadness. Kinzo, please. That's such a cute emo.
ウサギは寂しさで死ぬと聞いたが
Rabbits can die from loneliness? Oh my god, I'm literally me.
殺されたというのか。ならばウサギよ、2番の選択肢を愛するものではなく
Oh fuck.
姿が愛したものの思い出に変えどうか。これでももう何が愛してるものに大した価値はないだ。愚かなウサギよ。自らの愛の深さにも向かい合えぬクズめ。選んでみよ。愛したものを忘れられると選べるだろう。
Oh, that's an Anya emote? Cute! I didn't recognize her at first. Oh, I see it now. Oh, cute!
ほら、選べるって言ってみろよ。
選べるであります。
Aww, poor bunny.
ゴールドスミス、それくらいでどうかお許しを。
It said Chester 00 but showed 45. That was funny.
もうよいわ、クズウサギ。お前たちはワルギリアのところへ消えよ。
The Chester sisters, with their respective old wounds with the heart gouged out, escape by disappearing. Okay, so this is making me think, right? So Kinzo cares about if you act based on the hurt you felt and if you're hiding or trying to get away from that hurt. So he wants you to act in a healed way, I guess? So I wonder how that... But at the same time, he's still a psychopath who, like, wants to trap Beatrice forever. So, I don't know. I'm just thinking. After that, even though there was no one to hear, Kinzo continued talking by himself as though in a play.
と、このように愉快なテストなわけだ。実のところを言えば、これが正解という選択肢はない。むしろどの答えであろうとも、よどみなく、素早く、そして確固たる信念と揺るがぬ強き自らの意志で選べるかどうか。その理由と意志の方が重要なのだ。私はそれを知りたいのだ。我が末裔たちよ。
Interesting.
お前たちはどのような答えを見せてくれるのか、実に楽しみだ。私ああ、もちろん同じ問いを突きつけられたことがあったとも。その悪魔の問いに見事答えたからこそ、私は黄金と名誉と
Oh, that's interesting.
我が物とすることができたのだよ。私が選んだ答えは
I'm gonna grab water really quick. Sorry. Thank you for waiting. Yeah, Kinzo picked everyone else.
さて、そろそろ答えは決まりましたでしょう。
As Jessica stared at the letter that had been crushed and lay on the floor, she hung her head in constant silence. All that filled the room was the stir from the wind and rain shaking the treetops. Regardless of how noisy that was, it actually made the stillness more apparent. Ronove waited for Jessica's answer. However, Jessica didn't answer. Whether she was lost in deep thought or had stopped thinking, Ronove couldn't tell. No, he might have actually known. But cruelly, like a demon, Ronove urged Jessica to voice it.
どれも選べないというそのお命せめていた
せよ
はい聞こえかねましもう一度お願いできますかな
Jessica lifted her face and looked straight into Ronove's eyes. It seemed that she had decided on her answer. Aww.
殺せよ
Jessica said it one more time, clearly. Perhaps Ronove had imagined that this would be her answer from the very beginning. Without any surprise, he smiled lightly and nodded.
そのお答えを選ぶと思っておりました重要なのはどのような考えを経てその答えに至ったかというさあジェシカ様のそして次期当主としての心構えを持ってそれを
別に死にたく2番のカノンこんなのもちろん論外だから除外3番のその他こんなのもちろん論外だから除外そしたら1番目の選択肢しか残らなく
消去法積極的にお選びになったわけではない
After chuckling slightly, Ronove dropped his gaze. A human couldn't even imagine what answer a demon would have been expecting. All she could understand was that this was apparently slightly below Ronove's expectations.
悪くはありません60点という少し失望しました
自信を持って選べみたい
Yeah,
なこと
for
言
real.
っておいてそうしてやったら失望とは自分勝手なよ
消去法というだけではないようですねいずれにせよ落第点ですが伺いましょう
死にたくないさだから一番人は幸せだから本当はまず
しかしあなたは一番目の選択肢自分の命を捨てることをその選択肢しか残らなかった
一応それぞれの選択肢を選んだ後の未来のことを考えてみたぜ
ほういかがでしたか
まず私は自分の大好きな人を見捨ててまで生きる
それはどんな生涯でしたか
生きるにも値しない最低の女だったいつまでも自らの選択を悔やみただ大好きな人を見捨てて生きることを選んだ最低私が自ら引導を渡してやる
勇ましいでは3番目の選択肢も考えられたのでは
私とカノン君以外の全員を死なせても見たカノン君はそんな私を好きになるはずはないそして私もまたいくらカノン君がいてもそしてその十字架は私はカノン君に十字架を背負わせるために愚かな選択肢を選んだりはしない。もしそんなことをする私がいたなら私はその未来のその女にも私が引導を渡してやる
Jessica had pictured it in her mind. The future her beyond each of the three choices. There were three Jessicas. One of the three two had regrets. Only one could hold her head high and smile at Canon.
私さ生意気にも自分の人生
を思い切り味わいあるそれは意外にとても難しい
だからさ私が胸を張ってカノン君に見せなきゃならないんだよ胸を張ってお天道様を真正面から見て思い切り笑顔でいられる生き方ってやつを
あなたの自己犠牲をカノンはあなたの身勝手な選択が余計に彼を傷つけてしまうことには
It's not selfish.
だから伝言を頼みたい
ほうお聞きはしますが何しろ私はあくまで約束は守らないかもしれませんよ
守って約束
Jessica spoke that looking quite unconcerned. She had asked the demon who was about to take her life to pass on a message, and she didn't think at all that she would be betrayed. At that extremely innocent smile, Ronove closed his eyes lightly and shrugged his shoulders.
いいでしょう それで
カノン君の思いっきりの人生を。カノン君の本当の名前は未だに教えて。本当のカノン君の人生をそう伝えて。
お嬢様。
ジェシカ、お前というやつを。
炉の上は気まぐれですから、伝言をしなかった可能性もありました。幸運でしたね。私がこの光景を見せていて。
A musty three-sided mirror was set beyond the bars, and the scene with Jessica was reflected on it. On the next mirror, the scene with George was reflected in the same way. None of them questioned how a three-sided mirror had appeared from a group of butterflies, nor did they wonder why these scenes with Jessica and George were reflected on it, because the reflected scenes themselves were more important.
そこまでこいつのために命をも投げ出せるというのか。
申し訳ありません。
Kraus looked at Cannon with a complicated expression mixed in with a bitter smile. Cannon wouldn't meet his eyes.
ワルギリア様、お嬢様が命を落とされること、僕を殺してください。2番目の選択肢に。それで、全ては丸く収まるはずです。
その願いを私に叶えることはできませんよ。これはジェシカの選んだ自らの選択なのですから。
At that time, suddenly the air split and the Chiester sisters appear, flying into Virgilia's chest. Aww. Virgilia, who still didn't have a clue what was going on, was mobbed by the sobbing Chiester sisters.
はいはい、大丈夫ですよ、大丈夫です。美味しいお紅茶を入れてあげますからね。お前たち、ここの見張りを任せます。不審な真似をしたらすぐに知らせるのですよ。
The goat attendants all faced each other, nodding their heads. Virgilia took the Chiester sisters and left. The sound of them going up the stairs could be heard, so they'd probably gone to an upper floor.
チャンスだわ。このヤギ頭どもは頭が悪い。うまく騙せないかしら。
Hide realized that an opportunity had arrived, but even so, she hadn't thought of a way to break the metal bars. Then the Jessica reflected on the three-sided mirror had her eyes closed as though in contemplation. The way she had both hands stuck in her pockets, wanting to be defiant till the very end, might have been her own aesthetic stance.
私の言い分は以上だ。殺せよ。
わかります。それではご安心を。あなたへの死はどんな眠りよりも優しく慈悲深いものにいたします。
As Ronave raised his palm, he slowly approached Jessica. Aww, realizing that his daughter— I'm gonna cry. Like, I'm actually about to cry right now because of Kraus. Like, Kraus is making me cry. I'm crying, stop! Realizing that his daughter was about to be killed, Kraus went half mad and repeatedly body slammed the metal bars. Oh my god, that's so sweet. I'm crying. The goats looked like they were sneering at how a mere human didn't stand a chance at breaking those bars. Kraus's pointless efforts certainly may have been comical, but Kraus was giving it everything he had. He was now living with all he had as Jessica's father so that he could save her. Cannon made tight fists with both hands. If he used his cursed power, he might be able to cut through even the metal bars. But there were full three goats. There's no way he could beat three of them in an instant. It would instantly be reported, and then even Virgilia and the Chester sisters would probably dash in. Even if he could break the bars, that would be the end of it. It was useless. Cannon already knew that the witches sneered at useless efforts like that, so he could do nothing but stare at Kraus's repeated body slams. Shannon, who had been looking at the three-sided mirror, raised her voice. When they looked, they could see George, who had been silent the whole time, lift his face. It seemed that George had also decided on an answer. George might pick everyone else, because he's fucking crazy.
決まった？君の答え。
ああ、決まったよ。
それは揺るぎない答え？
ああ、揺るぎないね。
I'm scared of George. He's gonna say everyone else.
ああ、ちなみにジェシカはどうも 自分の命を差し出すこと、まさか優柔不断な君も。ジェシカはジェシカの、それがどの選択であろうとも僕の答えに何も干渉しないよ。そうなら改めて以下に掲げる3つのうち
He's gonna pick everyone else.
2つを得るために1つを生贄に捧げよ。1、2、3。あなたが選んだ、まさかジェシカと同じ1番？違うね。
Yep, I knew it. He's gonna pick everyone else. Gap looked a little surprised because she had thought this timid-looking man would obviously choose that option.
ならよかった。私にとって一番退屈な選択肢がじゃあシャノンの命を。まさか今夜まさに婚約指輪を贈ろうという相手を。これはそれが君の答えなの。そうさ。僕の答えは3番さ。
I knew it! I'm a genius! You're a fucking psychopath! I knew it! I knew it! I knew it! I knew it! I knew he was a psychopath! I fucking knew it! I'm so vindicated right now! I feel so... I knew this man was a I just knew it. I'm psychic, what can I say? Oh, this psychopath. George took the third option. Everyone else's lives. Unsurprisingly, Gap hadn't imagined that he'd give an answer like that. Well, I knew from the beginning. The first time I set eyes on this man, I didn't like him, okay? The first time he said a word, alright? I sniffed out his psychoness. She had been sure that he'd choose the same one as Jessica, so she was interested in how he had reached that answer. How he reached that answer that had surprised the imagination of the 33rd ranked of the 72 demons.
それ以外の全てを犠牲にできる境地というのをあなたもジェシカと同じで。違うね。はっきりこれしか僕には選択。自分さえ良ければいいと愛する女と引き換えに。君は何を言っている？何？
George faced the demon as he spoke, almost as though he was disgusted.
僕は今夜シャノンを呼び出し、婚約の証である指輪を渡すつもりだった。
Omega base Kappa.
僕とシャノンの婚約を祝福しない者もきっと多いだろう。僕は彼女との婚約を宣言することで。
What a psychopath! The whole family isn't against you marrying Shannon, you weirdo. It's literally just Ava. It's literally just Ava. Like the fuck?
僕にはあるんだよ。
And Ava's already dead. What are you? Hello?
この島に訪れたその時から。いや違う。彼女に婚約したいと打ち明けたその時からね。結婚さえできれば他の何もかも犠牲にできると。結婚とは自分は生涯妻の味方であり続けるということだ。
Psychopath.
僕にはその時点で彼女のために世界の全てを敵に回す覚悟があるんだ。
Psychopath. I bet Shannon's kind of turned off by this, because she's like, why would he do that? She's not going to like that. Those words through the three-sided mirror also reached Shannon's ears, and that determination reached her eyes. Shannon certainly had promised to be given an engagement ring tonight. Then this incident had occurred and she hadn't been able to receive the ring. But now, even though it wasn't in the form of a ring, Shannon had received something even greater. A psychopath. And as proof of that, a single tear with the same sparkle as a diamond dripped down. Really? This upcoming... Really? Memeable things ever.
すでに殺されちゃってるんだ。今さら君にとって死んで困る人間は誰もいない。なるほどね。何とでも言うがいい。これが僕の。そして僕の次期当主としての。
Get over yourself. You're not the successor, you stupid bitch. The sparkle in George's eyes was... I'm just not brilliant, it was sharp. Fuck you. Yeah, Gap is so good. For an instant, Gap felt the same sense of dread as Kinzo's, was slightly overwhelmed.
なるほど。ゴールドスミスと同じ答え。君もあどけなさそうな顔して。
Yep, I knew it.
とんだ悪魔になるわけね。なんだ。私たちとてもうまくやれそうじゃない。君がゴールドスミスの後を継ぐ。そしてやがては私は召喚され、それも案外面白いかもしれないわ。
Gap had needed to change her opinion of George. This man bore a determination and resolve unimaginable from his outward appearance. And not just now, but since the very beginning.
僕には今すぐ当主を継承する覚悟がある。いや違うね。君はこのテストを。だから僕は自分が当主であると前提して答えたんだ。いや、それすら違う。当主そのものとして考えた。僕は今後宮家の当主なんだ。
No, you're not, you dumbass.
見事だわ。そこまで言えるな。君はどうやらかなり。バトラとマリアのテストはまだだけど、私は君が合格でいい気がする。でもその答えがかけねなしの本当のものならね。
僕の覚悟を疑う。
君が選んだ選択肢を今すぐ自らの手でこの島に存在する全ての命を自らの手でよ。
できるね。
Ew, what the fuck is that face?
その覚悟はあると僕は何度も言っている。
ならば今すぐゲストハウスに戻り、バトラとマリアを殺しなさい。
Oh my god.
それが終わったら他の人質君の手で。シャノン以外できるんでしょ？
できるね。僕の覚悟は君程度のそれとは。
What a fucking psychopath.
ならば実行しなさい。全てに死を。新しき後宮家の当主として。
了解したよ。実行する。僕は今やもう。
No, you're not, you dumbass.
自らの手でその君は悪魔たちを滑る魔界の王となる。
Gap was convinced this man truly was fitting to succeed Kinzo's madness. No, he's not. This is stupid.
吹けよ嵐。新しき魔王の誕生を祝うがいい。悪魔の島は今新しい王を迎えた。
In response to the demon's call, a tempest raged more and more. Then a massive lightning bolt fell, its tearing thunder and brilliant light giving the sensation of a moment of silence.
でさ、その殺害の順番だけど、僕が決めていいわけだよね。
どうぞご自由に。あなたの御心の赴く。
とりあえずさ、その一番目が君になるわけだけど、いいかな。
What? You can't kill her, dumbass. A gust of wind blew, stirring up George's jacket as if it were a cloak. It was very much like the cloak worn by the head. It definitely carried that impression of dignity. That time, Gap truly did see the storm wiped away and the sky covered with a pure white and vast full moon. A man who called himself the new head bore the full moon on his back and sneered at the demon.
後宮家親族のすべての命さえも、それに損害を出してくれた賠償、安くは済まないよ。まさか僕の両親に夏日、そして源氏さんの命を奪っておいて、この僕。
はは生意気よ。
Ronove was trying to press his palm against Jessica's chest and stop her heart, but right before he could, his hand stopped. On the carpet at their feet, two small red flowers bloomed with a plop plop. The seed of those flowers was way up high, piercing into the heavens, on Jessica's fist. Ronove's nose was stained red with spewing blood, and those drops had been dripping out into the carpet. Did she punch him?
ちなみにさっきのは乙女として次期当主としての回答は別だぜ。
お伺いします。
大好きな人も私が守る。私が当主ならそれは私の責務だ。お父さんは威張ってるだけ。私や母さんを守って後宮家を受け継ぐ重圧ってやつと何十年も戦ってた。だからわかるさ、次期当主ってのはな。だからさ、捨てられるんだよ、自分の命くらい。
Jessica knew. She knew that in order to protect her family, her father had bluffed and fought alone continuously. Yeah, go Jessica! Jessica understood something that his back had been telling her. Another left straight was buried into Ronove's face. That terrifying strike wasn't just due to brass knuckles she was using. It was a strike of a person, a family head, who could throw away everything in order to protect.
順当に次の当主は私が継承するぜ。後宮家当主、後宮ジェシカ。
That would be cool. I want her to be it.
素晴らしい回。先ほどの点数を改め、その回答に10、見事な左ストレート。
ってことは、あと20点プラスで100点満点だな。
Ronove jumped backwards, somersaulting in midair. He violently wiped away the blood pouring from his nose. It had become not blood, but petals of a red rose. The blood on his face was wiped off, and in its place was a grin filled with delight he hadn't felt in so many centuries that he could remember.
満点に値するかどうか。
うぜえぜ、かかってきやがれ。
おいで、奈落へ。
Yeah, get fuck George, you stupid bitch, thinking you could challenge that witch, you dumbass, dumbass, dumbass. I hate you, George, I hate you. Anyways, okay, I got that out of my system. Suddenly, beneath George's feet, a pitch black pitfall opened its mouth wide. Of course, George had no way of resisting. After being swallowed up by that, George fell out of a pitch black hole that had opened up on the ceiling of the arbor. Oh my god! What a cute shot, what the hell? As George fell, oh, here we go. As George fell down, he was hit by a reverse roundhouse kick from a sharp stiletto heel, like a strike from a carefully aimed bee. Get fucking kicked, George, you dumb bitch. This instant, George, after being blown out of the arbor, thought he'd be swallowed up by a rose bush. Another pitch black hole opened up there and swallowed George. At this time, a pitch black hole opened at Gap's feet before her eyes, spitting a defenseless George out of it. At that time, Gap had already finished the preparation motions for the next reverse roundhouse kick. Ooh, it's Higurashi music! Oh, it's that face again. Interesting. Right side of the head, below the right armpit, side of the right knee. As Gap danced and spun like a small cyclone, she kept hitting him, left foot, right foot, with successive roundhouse kicks. The fourth one became a sweep, cutting George's feet out from under him and making him fall down. But of course there was no floor there, but a pitch black hole, and George was swallowed up once again. Get fucking wrecked, George. Gap once again spun around like a small cyclone. George was once again spat out from the ceiling of the arbor. Yes! Die, George, you stupid bitch. Or is Shannon gonna be there protecting him? The sharp strike of the queen bee pierced the heavens like a rising cyclone. It kicked through George's lower chest as he fell from the ceiling, and then time froze. George was pinned mid-air by Gap's raised leg. Still pinned mid-air, George moaned. Then Gap, with George still hung up on her foot, grinned.
君の態度だけは一人前よ。でも力が伴わなきゃダメだわ。知ってる？この世を滑るには3つの力が必要だそうよ。一つは権力。
What the? I can't look? Frickin' heck.
一つは財力。最後は何か知ってる？
本で読んだよ。暴力。
正解。君にはそれが足りないわ。
Gap finally released George. She kicked upwards one more time, changing into another roundhouse kick and knocking him into a pillar.
権力を伴わない王者にも財力を伴わない王者にも金蔵はその3つを兼ね備えたわ。だからこそ暴君として君臨した。君も金蔵の後継者を名乗るならばその貫禄を見せてごらんなさい。ほら、いつまで寝ているの？立ちなさい。じゃないとまた落ちるわよ。
悪くない動きですよ。しかし、レディーには少々ふさわしくない。
George, but I have cool glasses. Ooh. Oh my god, I love her. Look at her go.
ひょろひょろとちょっこまかと反撃してこねえのかよ。なめてんのか、うぜえやつ。
Ronove dodged skillfully, jumped back, and avoided Jessica's fist, but he still didn't strike back himself, because of his dodge was as rapid as a fluttering flag. Blown by strong winds, Jessica's fist wasn't even able to touch him. Amidst the sensation that her own blood was boiling, Jessica regained her offensive composure. Even though this room was large for a bedroom, it was a very cramped place to keep up such exaggerated dodges and for long. She calmly realized that and started using not just her fists but her legs as well.
ボクシングは腕でやるだけのうちは反応なんです。腕は熱く吠え、そして足は冷たく獲物を狙って追い詰める蛇のように。
蛇に足はねえぜ。
確かに。
Jessica began cornering Ronove towards the wall with perfect footwork. She didn't let him get around her. Ronove's magnificent dodges looked flashy, but they needed large footing. Once cornered, he wouldn't be able to dodge anymore. Jessica knew the characteristics of her weapon, the brass knuckle, very well. This powerful weapon's notable characteristic was how it didn't give the opponent a chance to defend. Even if they blocked with their arm, that arm would receive direct damage. If they hit it the wrong way, it might even break the bone, so she cornered him. With this fist, she'd whittle away at this demon who'd lost any chance to escape.
ようやく集めたぜ。みんなを捕らえ、クソジジイのいる場所洗いざらい喋ったらそのヒゲをむしり取るだけで勘弁してやるぜ。
それは困りな。これでもセットに毎朝1時間をか
け、キブスの世話になったらそれもできねえな。おっと。
Ronove had blocked Jessica's fist with his arm. He tried to act as though it was no big deal, but it must have hurt a lot. Jessica grinned. Ronove smiled in the same way, but twitched slightly.
これは確かに痛いですね。
最終勧告。泣いて詫びろ。
それはできませんね。キャラが崩れます。
なら、スルベ打ちだ。
Jessica's fists were buried into Ronove, but there was a resistance that seemed too hard and the sound of breaking glass which startled Jessica. At a glance, it looked like Ronove had caused Jessica's fist with his palm. That wasn't quite true. When Ronove opened his hand, a faint purple glowing barrier like a glass shield appeared, stopping the attack by a hair's breadth. Pulling herself together, Jessica let her fist fly again, but with a truly magnificent gesture, Ronove caught all of them.
この程度の魔法くらいは。それにしても人間だったら私はここで降参だったでしょ。悪魔だからまだ戦い続けることができる。
おかしな真似を。
それで終わりですか。攻撃を繰り出すばかりでご自身の防御がおろそかではありませんか。
Rodove's palm shot within a hair's breadth of Jessica's stomach. Jessica was knocked away by the purple shield, rolled backwards, and smashed her head on the bed.
私のシールドはもう二度と私の体に触れることができると思うことです。
ならよ、その
不屈なかその根性、もう少しお相手させていただく。これも試験官の役得。
砕けろ
Gap looked down at George, sneering. George was on a path in the rose garden, lying face down in a puddle. The merciless rain beat down on him, so it looked as though even the heavens were mocking him. Me too, Gap. George stood up shakily. It seemed his spirit hadn't given in, but the damage done to his body was fairly significant.
君のしていることは何も選ばない4番目君が選んだのは両手両膝をついて詫びれば私への比例を許してあげるわそしたら君を地下牢へ案内してあげるそこで君は愛するシャノンと非力な自分のためにできるわよねその覚悟はあると君は豪語したわ
George didn't answer, but his gaze was still obstinately resisting surrender.
あまり強情が過ぎると今度こそ
Gap's strength was evident. That was probably clear, even more than it was to George himself, to Shannon's group watching through the three-sided mirror.
庄司様もうやめて私なんかのために
姉さん
私のことなんて好きにならなければジョージ様は誰とも戦わなくていいんでしょ
Oh, Rona Oriri, thank you for following. Welcome. I hope you're doing well today.
私なんて捨ててください忘れてください
I hope I pronounced your name right. Let me know if you pronounce it differently. There was no way that voice could have reached George. But even so... Hi. George answered. Yes, it's correct. Okay, cool. Good to know.
へえどうして
それが
Do you know about Umineko, or do you want me to catch you up on what's happening right now? Because I can do that too if you want.
僕はシャノンのために全てと戦うそして全てに認めさせ
Oh, it's your favorite game? Oh, good. This is my first playthrough, and we're on episode 4 right now. And, okay, you know what's happening? Good. Yeah, we're on episode 4, so let me give you a little who we love and who we don't, okay? I hate George with a fiery passion, and I also hate Goda with a fiery passion. I think Nanjo is super suspicious. I think Kinzo is a psychopath. Natsuhi's a cutie. We ship Jessica and Cannon so fucking hard. Like, I love that ship. And I also... Okay, this is a very controversial ship. I ship... Where is it? Rosa and Beatrice because of what happened when they were younger. I think Beatrice can heal Rosa into being not an abusive person. And they can get together. And obviously, Angie and Mammon are together. Like... Oh no! Sakutaro! It looks like that! But obviously, I think Angie and Mammon should be together, because they are, like... And also, this is me, just so you know. Okay, so we caught you up on everything. Yep, Bia and Rosa. That's Bia Tone Rosa, that's what I think. That's what I like. I think she can heal them. Because, you know, Beato always looks out for Maria and stuff, so... That's what I think. But welcome, so glad you're here.
どうしてあのシャノンとかいう家具のためにそこまで言えるの
You have very good taste? Oh yay! I'm glad we agree.
出来損ないじゃない給仕一つ満足にできないガラクタ家具だわ
That's so harsh, Gap. We love Gap, but she's a little harsh.
僕はそれ以上許さない
だったら何？ひ弱な僕ちゃんが私にどう抗うというのかしら。
Yeah, you are weak, George. Fuck you. Well, that's true.
それを知ったから僕は強くなれた。僕は君を愛している。その言葉。
愛してる。
僕は何度でも立ち上がれるんだ。
シャノンは力をよ。私に愛を語られても。
いや、伝わった。それが愛だからだ。シャノンには今、僕の言葉がそうだと信じられることこそが愛だ。
You're lucky that they're watching with the magic mirror, Mr. George.
シャノン、君は家具なんかじゃない。家具だったとしても、世界でただ一つの僕だけの家具だ。
That's possessive.
生涯、僕と寄り添って。
He scares me. Shannon, get out of there. Shannon, get out of that. Run away, Shannon. He's crazy. It's crazy.
焼けるわ。口説きならうちの人を超えたわね。
若さです
な。Everyone's commenting on it.
愛が強さなら坊やはどうしてそんなにひ弱なの？その弱さがつまり。
I'll lurk for now and listen to this sleep. Oh, okay, for sure. Yeah, no pressure to type at all. I hope you have a good sleep when you do go to sleep, though. Have good dreams. I'll try not to be too loud. I'll try not to yell or anything.
婚約者への愛もひ弱。両親のあっけない死に様もひ弱。君の人生は何から何まで。
I love this. Fucking roast him, Gap. Roast him.
シャノンは僕に愛と強さを教えてくれた。もし君が僕の強さだけでシャノンへの愛を確かめようというのなら。
Lovers trial ganbaru. Woo.
僕の愛を。
ganbaru.
なるほど。何度も蹴り倒されて転がされ、それでも立ち上がるのがシャノンからもらった強さだと。ならあっけなく殺されたあんたのお父さんとお母さんからは。
At that time, there was a blackout, even though they were outside. The thing blocking Gap's vision was the bottom of George's butt. Shoe. Pacha. Oh my god, and then he says sidekick? What a lame ass. Wow, I can't with this man. It had stopped right in front of the tip of Gap's nose. That's funny. I like how Ava taught him that. We like... I don't know if we like Ava. So memeable, as I said. You're right. Sidekick. So dumb. Several moments later, Gap jumped. Sorry about that. I had something stuck in my throat. Excuse me? Several moments after, Gap jumped back. Of course, that was too late. If George hadn't stopped, he'd probably have caused the damage he announced. Anger with a low boiling point isn't something to be truly feared. Is it okay if turn up the character's volume a little bit? Oh, of course! Let me see how to... Yeah, thanks for letting me know. Is that better? Let me know if that's better. We'll see when they talk, okay? True anger is disciplined by fortitude. Or, well, I can also turn this up a little bit. And then, let me do this. Is that better? Or up a little bit more? Let me know. That's also a cute emote. Yeah, that's good? Okay, good.
君の攻撃はもう十分に理解した。
Good, yay.
そろそろいいかな。反撃して。
Yep. If anything's ever weird with the volume in the future, yeah, just let me know and I'll change it. A pitch black hole opened its mouth at George's feet, but George rapidly opened his legs, straddling the hole. I can't! He goes spread eagle. The same move won't work again. I'm doing the splits. It was an extremely smooth dodge. The upper part of his body didn't even quiver. This is so funny. My fortitude is doing the splits.
わかんないわよ。反撃してきっちり借りを返し、二度と涙と鼻水で顔面をぐちゃぐちゃにして、それを拭うのを忘れて額を地面にこすりつけて、何度も謝りたくなるほどに完膚なきまでに完璧に叩きのめすためだよ。
George dashed. Pitfalls opened one after the other, but George didn't step in them again. And because he was persistent, he was able to reach Gap a second time. Oh my god, I can't with him. Jaw fractured. No, Gap, I love you! It was stretched out more forcefully and beautifully than Gap's had been. Of course, while it was centered directly on Gap's face, it stopped a hair's breadth away. Perhaps she couldn't rely on pitfalls at this close range. Gap kicked at George's shins as a diversion. And in the instant of weakness when he tried to deal with that, she aimed the kick at his stomach. It was a bee-like stab by her stiletto heel, but it sliced through the air where George no longer was. Oh my god. Shut up. I can't. By Gap's side, George calmly announced that, his foot still raised. If that monarch's heel had swung down, a collarbone fracture would probably have been the least of her worries. She jumped backwards to a large open gap between them. She jumped and leaped and even flipped in midair, increasing the distance. It should have been magnificent, but for some reason it was very similar to the movements of a small, scared animal. If she opened the distance between them, she'd be able to fight at the range that was her specialty, using a mixture of pitfalls and kicking techniques. When she magnificently landed and tried to aim a pitfall, a razor-sharp wind cut Gap's bangs. Yes, it cut them. It happened twice. This time it didn't just stop a hair's breadth away, but scattered her bangs with air pressure. Oh my god. You are so lame, George. Gap was too shocked to speak. George had closed in over all that distance in an instant, letting off a fearsomely nimble midair double kick. Furthermore, with the accuracy and edge of a razor, it had cut nothing more than several of her bangs. In short, this is what it meant. That was why all of George's attack up until then had stopped a hair's breadth away. These bare misses, which were more difficult than hitting directly, had all been performed so splendidly. Imagine George doing ballet. Oh my god, I totally could. He's such a ballet guy. Also, if George had wished it, any of those would probably have crushed Gap. He had daringly not done that.
滑る力だと。暴力で相手を破壊してしまったら滑られない。王者の暴力とはね、破壊しない、屈服させて自らの財産とするんだからね。君に泡でも吹かれたらみんなの囚われてる場所に案内させられない。
Gap had to admit it. She had to admit that George understood force in its truest
みんなのと
sense.
ころへ案内してもらうよ。抵抗はおすすめしない。もう寸止めはしないよ。
ごめんねリア、あんたの兵隊私一人じゃ手に負えないわこいつ。
As large pitch black hole opened up in the sky, thunk thunk thunk. 3 muscular goat attendants fell out. They surrounded George.
増援会？それは僕がひ弱であることを撤回したと受け止めていいのかな。
認めるわ、あんたの人間の力を侮ってた。
違うね、これが愛を覚えた男の強さなのさ。
ほざけ、臭いことをシャーシャーと。さあヤギたち、その男を潰して肉団子にしてやりなさい。このヤギたちはバカだけどパワーだけはあるみたい。あんたの死体婚約者にも見分けがつかなくしてあげる。
降伏拒否並びに継戦の意思了解したよ。以後は君の攻撃に等しい分だけ君に。僕をまだ攻撃するつもりなら相応の損害を受けることになると覚悟するがいい。
When George proclaimed that, a faint red magic circle rose up around him. It seemed that George couldn't see it. However, Gap, being a demon, could.
どうしてこいつが防御結界を。
Oh yeah, when George was with Beatrice, he was pretty good at magic.
しかもそれ反撃特化。それがあんたの抑止という意味。
From a demon's perspective, that may have been magic, but in George's eyes, it was determination. It was determination filled with certainty, which would be merciless to anyone who wished to fight anymore, and which would force them to prepare for a significant counterattack. Determination with certainty becomes magic. Ronove had been accurately blocking Jessica's fists with his shields, but something felt odd. Even though he was certainly catching them on the shield, he felt his arm get jarred and it hurt. It should have prevented all physical damage, however the damage from her fist was gradually being transmitted to his arm, piling up. Ronove tried to act like he was composed so this wouldn't be noticed.
私はバテねえぜ。どうしたよおっさん。ちっとは答えてきたかよ。
Lambda, certainty, someone calling me. True!
私のシールドはあなたには砕けないとどうしてわか。
砕けないからってよ、殴るのをやめはしない。どんな硬い心にだって言葉はわずかずつ響き、やがては私は信じて、この世に無駄な努力なんて存在しないってな。だから生きるんだろ、思いっきり。言葉だっていつか通じるなら拳だって同じってことだぜ。私の辞書には諦めるって文字は書いちゃいねえんだぜ。
Those words were probably aimed at Cannon, who had seemed to reject Jessica's words, but Jessica knew that no matter how stubborn his heart was, those words will eventually soak through. She believed that they would surely reach his heart, that the day would come that he would stop calling himself furniture and disparaging himself, and that he'd step out into a new life, so Jessica didn't give up. She didn't lose heart.
バカみてえだろ、男には理解できねえだろ。恋する乙女ってのはな、無駄だから諦めるって考えがねえ。
At that time, Ronove certainly saw. He saw the reddish glow of light that encircled Jessica's fists.
これはエンチャントですか。浸透付与とは厄介。
Inside her unreleasing fists and determination dwelled the power to succeed no matter what. From a demon's perspective, that was magic. Determination with certainty becomes magic. Lambda!
な、無駄なんてことはねえだろ。通ってんだろ。私の腕をかばってるぜ。
もう少し本気を出さざるを得ないようですね。おっしゃる通りのようです。この世に無駄なことなどな。
そうさ、 無駄なんて諦めたらそこで人生が終わっちまうぜ。通じるんだよ絶対に。
I'm an idiot, so this is the only way I can live, but even so I'm sure I'll be able to teach Canon-kun about a new world someday, so I'm not gonna lose heart in a place like this. I'll definitely defeat you and save everyone. Aw, Kraus, you're so good. Kraus was repeating his useless efforts to somehow open a hole between the metal bars. Useless. Nothing is useless. There's nothing. The lookout goats had been swallowed up by those black pitfalls and disappeared. Now was their once-in-a-lifetime chance. This was their only chance to break the bars.
素手でどうにかなるもんじゃない。道具を探しましょう。無茶をする。
無駄と諦めたらそれまでと娘に言われて、私の体は無理でも小柄なシャノンかカノンが。
この段階に至っては出ない知恵を絞るより力を合わせましょう。カノン君、男の子でしょ。手を貸して。カノン君、
旦那様下がってください。
何をする気だ。
いいよね、もう一度だけあがいても。
私ももう一度だけあがくよ。
Aww.
何度でも。
Jessica's voice had reached Cannon. It certainly had permeated into his cold, rock-like heart. And George's voice had reached Shannon. If the love he had shown was embodied by strength, she would have responded the same way. An incredible metal sound rang out. In the first flash, several metal bars were severed horizontally, and in the next flash, they were severed horizontally again, causing many metal bars to clatter to the ground like bamboo shoots cut by a sword. Kraus, Kide, and Nanjo didn't even have a clue what just happened.
南條先生、お屋敷や廊下をどっちに。
左奥だ、左奥。
参りましょう。すぐにワルギリア様に気づかれます。
あんたたちは一体何なの。
僕たちは。
When Cannon hung his head a little and faltered, Shannon slapped his shoulder, smiled, and spoke.
私たちは人間です。ワルギリア様、警戒網に反応。脱獄です。なぜか見張りのヤギがいません。
どうしてです。ガープです。人の瞬間物を勝手に。ガプ
混戦規定確認。
おやりなさい。やっちゃいなさい。ガプ
Going into the comedy arc.
了解であります。45、410、追撃狙撃戦準備。弾手、収束誘導弾。ワルギリア様、逃亡阻止結界を。
そうでしたね。ここから逃がしはしませんよ。ガプ言ってたら舌噛みました。
The underground passage in front of them was once again blocked by metal bars. The door was, of course, locked. However, that was no problem for them now.
はい、旦那様。
しかしすごい。一体どういう原理なのかしら。
原理なぞ今日大事なのは彼に鉄格子が切断できた。
Based cross.
ここから気にするなカノン。やれ。
お任せを。
Cannon sliced the metal bars again with his red curved blade, but there was a harsh, strange noise, and the metal bars only had a slight scratch.
なんと、これは頑丈な。
違う、エンチャントされてる。ワルギリア様の魔法杖だ。
切断できる。
もちろん、でも時間をかけるよ。
3分間待ってやる。
After taking a deep breath and concentrating his mind, Cannon extended a red curved sword again. When he pressed it hard against the metal bars, sparks sprayed, almost as though he was melting through it with a burner.
切断はできそうだが手こずり。
敵に捕捉されました。下がってください。
追って誰も来てないわよ。
私の後ろに狙われてます。45データ治療。標的は捕捉。地形誤差修正。射撃曲線形成。制御点補正完了。410データリン。410データ受領。危険区域確認。問題なし。
WO 師団装填48発収束誘導弾準備。
45射撃準備完了。収束誘導弾装填。410に射撃。
A golden arrow that sparkled gold was no shit, it sparkled gold if it's golden, was fired, leaving a gold tail stream. Wow, I wonder if it's gold, guys. It drew a curve, went through the door, through the keyhole, down the stairs, towards the underground path at full speed. And it was golden!
何か光りましたぞ。
黄金の矢はカノン君、迎撃態勢リンクしよ
う。ゲートキーパー了解。姉さんと一緒に戦うのは久しぶり。動じらないでよ。
本気でやる。
なら問題ない。
Cannon stopped cutting the bars and stood in front of Shannon. Like me? True! Like you, OMG! You're so 5-head. The golden sorcerer, OMG. You're doing this, I can't believe it. You're the witch! I figured it out! Cannon stopped cutting the bars and stood in front of Shannon. Behind him, Shannon closed her eyes, concentrating her mind deep, deep into the darkness of the underground path. A guided cluster round is a special kind of arrow made up of 45 sub-rounds bound together. It explodes mid-flight and divides into 48 mini-arrows. The strength of each individual one of lows, but they pierce through all shields and possess a perfect wounding and killing power against personnel. On top of that, each one of the 48 possess autonomous guidance towards their individual targets. Wasted. True.
収束誘導弾師団46 7迎撃完成。カノンへデータリンク。
カノンデータ受領。姉さんの48発全部見える。
迎撃優先順位に注意。姉さんを信じて。
もちろんだ。僕は目を開ける必要さえない。
迎撃開始。目標健在。迎撃されました。48発全部。
シャノンとカノンはもともと一つ揃うと手強いこと。あいつこれ口内炎になっちゃうかしら。
落ち着け。弾種を変更。精密高速狙撃だ。精密狙撃戦準備。
そりゃいいね。ゲートキーパーごときじゃ防御不能だに。精密狙撃戦了解。精密射撃用データ。
A gatekeeper, huh? Interesting.
安心して。私にもさっぱりよ。一つわかるのは二人に頼らなきゃ死んでたってことね。
カノン君、鉄格子に戻って。多分次のは迎撃できない弾が来る。
そんな攻撃をどう防ぐんだ。
撃たせません。カノン君、霊視線防備。
At those words, Cannon closed his eyes tightly and ground his teeth. With Shan at the center, pressure and impact that only non-humans could perceive struck.
射撃システムダメだ。
霊波妨害。霊視防護。何をしてるか。早く耳を塞げ。45。
An unseen, unheard impact had struck Chiester sisters. 00 and 410 crouched down, covering the ears, but 45 didn't make it. I didn't make it! As she stood bolt upright, her eyes rolled. Oh, cute! Cute! Cute!
45コンパイラのエンジンがいつキャー。私もノイズがひどいに。
45、410、そして WO、損傷、狙撃戦を断念。
Aww, cute!
リンクで再起動しないと。
Raising their spirit particle sensitivity for precision sniping had backfired. They had taken the full brunt of the spirit particle shockwave Shannon had released, and not only 45 who had been hit directly, but also 00 and 410 who had been linked with her were taken down.
大丈夫ですか？後でまた美味しい紅茶を入れてあげますからね。しっかり。
再起動をかけます。数百秒ほどお待ちを。
What do you mean? Why'd you call her sir? Is she a guy? All the Chiester sisters had fallen over. They'd probably get back up eventually, but it looked like it would be hard for them to return to the battle lines for a while. Ah, she's so scary! She's fucking creepy. Windows is restarting, true. Virgilia, she scares me. Virgilia tore the air with a large gesture, motioning as though opening a door. A gold-colored door opened in the air and countless giant goats with muscular bodies peeked their faces out.
脱走者は5人いるから5等賞までの早い者勝ち。素敵なご褒美がありますよ。さあさあ頑張って頑張って。
Virgilia clapped her hands, urging them on. A prize? After facing each other at those words, the goats all rushed up to the door once trying to get out, making the exit as packed as the Tozai or the Yamanote rail lines in the morning. Each wanted to get out first, and none of them could get out. Virgilia held her head in frustration. By that time, Cannon had managed to cut enough bars to make a crack that could be slipped through. It had been a bit of work for Kraus, large as he was in Nanjo with his lethal waist. But even so, they all managed to make it through. But after they did, they only had a couple seconds to be relieved. Immediately, another set of metal bars blocked the way in front of them.
厳重ね。よっぽどここの人を逃がしたくなかったんでしょうね。
There was sweat on Cannon's forehead. You could tell at a glance that cutting through the metal bars, which had been made even more solid by magic, had physically exhausted him. Only he could do it. Holding tightly to those words, Cannon concentrated his mind once again and set himself to the task of cutting the metal bars again.
今度は私たちにすごい地響きね。とんでもない化け物が殺到してくるのがわかる。
ご安心を。今抜けた鉄格子を私が魔法杖で封鎖します。ヤギたちごときには破れません。
Shannon held her hand out towards the metal bars they had gone through. But she stopped right away.
どうかしましたか？
ワルギリア様が霊波妨害の中和を開始。破られるとまずい。シエスタ姉妹の再起動後のイニシアチブを奪われます。
可愛いウサギたちをいじめてくれたお返しはたっぷりとこの小賢しい霊視で優位に立とうというなら、それを丸ごと剥ぎ取って私が奪ってあげる。
あのヤギたちにその鉄格子の隙間は狭すぎる。しばらくは食い止めてくれるはず。
何を言っているかさっぱりだもん。
だいぶやばいってことだけは理解できたわ。
Kide picked up a metal bar that Cannon had just cut. Kraus had no weapon, but he rubbed his fists and the two of them glared into the depths of the underground passage where the shaking was coming from.
この鉄格子で遮るものはおしまいのはずだ。
ここから屋敷までどのくらいあるんです？
かなり歩く。道は平坦だが30分は歩いた気を。
全力疾走ならその半分ってことだわ。
They couldn't tell for sure since they didn't have three-sided mirror, but there was no guarantee that George and Jessica would still be alright against unit opponents after all this time.
歩く2倍の速度で走れば15分。さらにその2倍で走れば8分を切るわ。
さらにその倍の全力疾走なら5問題ない。
むちゃくちゃな計ですが、カジマの計算式は。
申し訳ございません。後を頼みます。
任せたま。カノンは1秒でも早く。シャノンはワルギリアとかいう魔女への妨害に追っては私とキリエさんで防ぐ。
Aw, they're all working together. Then the roars of beasts rang out from the darkness, and several fiery, glowing, bright red eyes appeared. Goats that were several levels more massive than the guards were rushing with an incredible force. The tremors they created were almost like an earthquake. They brought a frightening intensity and terror, but Kiri actually laughed with relief. Those massive bodies wouldn't be able to go through the crack in those bars. The group of goats crashed into the metal bars with a fierce sound like that of a train colliding with a dead end. Clumps of dirt fell here and there from the ceiling, and you could tell that the metal bars had bent as if collapsing. Their charging power probably was on par with a train. If the metal bars hadn't been there, they likely would have overwhelmed the 5 of them and crushed them in an instant. When the group of goats pressing up against the metal bars noticed the 5 people right in front of them, they let out a terrible howl, trying to intimidate the 5, or maybe it was out of pain for their game of push and shove. One calm goat among them figured out what should be done with the metal bars and grabbed 2 of them with its massive arms and began bending them as though opening double doors. Kirie jabbed her metal pole at the goat's vitals. The goat let out a roar of anguish. Probably hurt a lot, but that was all. It wasn't enough to bring it down. Still holding the metal pole she'd stuck out, Kirie relinquished the opposite tip to Kraus. Kraus ran in there with all his might, jumped and kicked down with all his weight and kicking power combined. All that destructive power was focused on a single pole, drilling it in. Why is he talking to the goat like that, weirdo? The goat had taken a pile of bunker to its vitals, writhed with teary eyes, and nodded its head.
私たちのリンクも結構シャノンちゃんたちには負けられないわ。
当然じゃないか。
二人がかりでならいけるわ。次、右側のあいつ。
了解だ。いい嫁さんじゃないか。ルドルフめ。少し愚痴が。
The comedy arc at its best.
へえ、後で聞かせてもらう。ルドルフさん、天国で青くなっても手遅れよ。
After this, I think I'm gonna stop. The goats' massive bodies were buried in the rose bushes. Even taking into account that a leg's power is 3 times that of an arm's, this strength surpassed common sense. To think that those massive bodies had been kicked in the chin and flown into the air was too fierce. Even George seemed a little surprised.
化け物にも通用したとはね。驚きだよ。
あんたの反撃特化結界のせいよ。ブレイズした攻撃力をそのまま自らに上乗せ。あんたの蹴りにはその化け物どもの怪力が加算されてるのよ。
へえ。よくわからないけど、僕にぴったりじゃないか。誰であろうとも攻撃してくるなら。
It's still a long scene, yeah.
専守防衛。僕のポリシーそのものだ。
That's why Gap couldn't easily touch him. The counterattack style barrier had no defensive power. However, because of its countering ability, it could be useful in defense by making opponents hesitate to attack. The goats had been foolish, so had attacked without worrying, but the second effort had worked in full against Gap.
こいつらは単調だね。パワーが互角であるならば、小柄な方が有利だ。
He lightly dodged the log-like arms. When those arms touched the barrier that protected George, they lit off a strong red light. The tip of the counterattack foot would then gain the same sparkle, and the superhuman power of the goat aided to its own. The second goat fell forwards and floated in the air for a second. Then George's next roundhouse kick missed right over the falling goat's head. He missed? That's so fucking funny that he missed. For an instant, the goat hoped it might get away with its life. But no, a heel was dropped onto the back of its head and was forced to kiss the ground.
上段回し蹴りからの練りチャギはたまにやると結構当たるよ。
こいつ、いやマジで厄介だわ。
何が悪魔だ、何が魔女だ。六軒島の主人はこの後ろ宮家だよ。それを体で教えてやる。
こいつ。
The only way to finish off Jordan now that his body was wrapped in a counterattack style was to deny him a chance to counterattack. Nothing to do but suck him into the abyss next, then kick and drop him, kick and drop him, kick and drop him, until she kicked him to death. But George had already completely seen through the faint warning signs that told of the appearance of Gap's pitfalls. If he could jump over the next pitfall, then this time he would probably pulverize Gap's head with his whirlwind-like kick without holding back in the slightest, just as it had been done to his parents. She was able to envision that scene vividly. Gap hated Kinzo more than ever for calling her out to this ridiculous island. Even though Ronobe held out his shield, he had finally started using his hands. Without a more powerful shield, he wouldn't be able to block Jessica's fists anymore. The enchantment on Jessica's fist grew the more she fought. The permeating upgrade had already grown several times, and those fists had also been giving an impact upgrade, a piercing upgrade, a speed upgrade, making them fist worthy to fight on par with a demon.
どうしたよ。へばってきたんじゃねえのかよ。動きが鈍ってきてるぜ。
いいえ、ジェシカ様の動きと思考、動体視力が飛躍。私の動きは最初から変わっていま。あなたの動きが私を。
それでも反撃はしね。
これが私。しかしこのままというわけ。そろそろ本気で終わりにさせてもらいます。
Ronobe's face turned into an expression he hadn't shown before. It was full of respect for Jessica in a truly demonic way, because it was an expression he only showed for enemies who made him get serious. With a gesture of his whole body that you couldn't call elegant, Ronobe held out a shield with all his strength, a shield the size and thickness of a wall. It's more tenacious than a simple shield. It was literally a wall, and on top of that, all of Ronobe's magical power. It pushed Jessica back bit by bit. Did he plan on crushing her back against the wall and crushing her to death? Jessica tried to break through the wall with both fists, but it was solid. Without any exaggeration, it was solid. Ronobe made a magic sign almost like a ninja. The wall glowed red for an instant, and some kind of ominous power dwelt within it. Jessica was able to recognize that almost immediately with her body. Every time her fist hit the wall, pain as though glass fragments had scattered hit all over her body and rebounded against her. Well, epilepsy warding. Without hesitation, Jessica punched using both fists. Each time she did, a large amount of shards scattered, torturing her entire body. Instantly, several red gashes appeared all over her. She grimaced at the intense agony, but her eyes were burning with fighting spirits. Her lip curved into a grin as that stood in sharp contrast to the pain. Maybe I'll save here, because I think this is going to keep going for a while. And I have to eat, so I've been streaming for quite a bit. But it was a really, really fun stream. Thank you so much for everyone who was watching at any point, whether it was a little bit or a long time. I really appreciate it. It was super fun. Tomorrow we can keep going with some Umineko. I'll see what else I want to play tomorrow. I'm not really sure. We'll have to see when we get there, but thank you again for watching. I hope everyone has a really good day or a better day. If it's not going so well, I hope things get better. And I will see everyone next time. Thank you again for watching. Oh yes, I will try to finish White Album 2. I might have to do it It might take a few days. We might have to do some today and tomorrow, but we'll get it done eventually for sure. Tomorrow, if we don't get it done today, I'll dedicate tomorrow to White Album before I do anything else, okay? So we'll definitely get it done. But yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye!